Get ready to go live. I hope everybody's ready. I hope everybody's had a good weekend. Hope everybody's being safe as well too. Shout out to my people on X and shout out to my people on YouTube as well too, guys. For those coming into YouTube tonight, make sure you click that notification bell. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Like tonight's broadcast and definitely share it on your social media platforms as well too. Once again, click the notification bell, share it on your social media platforms as well too, guys. Definitely glad to have everybody up in space on Twitter and on what is it on YouTube as well too. So shout out to you guys coming up in here, guys. Shout out, shout out, shout out. I know you guys see the actual title. Pan-African Diaspora Village in Ghana creates tension with the native citizens. Yeah, there's a little bit of tension going on over there. Oh, I ain't gonna say a little bit. There's quite a bit of tension going on. Of course, everybody remembers, what was it, 2019, 2020, the year of return. That went ahead to leading to some settlements over there in Ghana and some of the other areas in Africa as well, too. We're gonna touch up on that tonight. And you got a few of the actual native population are not too happy about what's going on. They feel like land is being taken from them, land and opportunity as well too. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to cover up on that. I see my man Original's up in here. With shout out to Original and shout out to Andre as well too. Mr. Butterworth. I like that username, Mr. Butterworth. We always think, what was it, Miss Butterworth? But shout out to you, Mr. Butterworth, as well, too. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get this thing rolling in just a second. Let a few more of our people roll up in here. And we're going to go ahead and get it up. In case you guys missed the last broadcast, we did one Friday night. I was talking about the actual situation in Kansas City with the shooting and Kamala Harris, as well to her blackness, as well as situation where you got Jamal Bowman and them talking about creating a hip hop task force. So if you guys missed that, make sure you catch that broadcast. Like I said, that was Friday night. It was a pretty good broadcast. So you guys make sure. We went for a pretty long time in there too. We was about 4 hours deep. 4.5 hours deep in that actual broadcast as well too. So it was a good one. Definitely, if you missed it, catch it. And definitely share it with some of your people as well too. Shout out to Rella. I see Rella's up in the she's up in the space tonight as well too, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to touch up on this in just a second. I'm just letting a few of you guys roll up in here. I definitely want to hear what you guys got to say tonight as well too. We are supposed to have Judge Joe Brown on this week as well too. We're scheduling, should have him on Wednesday night. Should be a pretty good podcast / space as well too. So make sure y'all tune in. So we plan on having the Honorable Judge Joe Brown up in the house Wednesday night as well too, guys. So make sure you guys go ahead and tune in for that as well too. Judge Joe Brown, he definitely knows how to keep the conversation flowing as well too. So he's definitely no stranger in terms of having a good sound discussion. So what's up, Original? Thinking I want to see if somebody might want to co-host tonight as well too. I guess I'll see. I know Rella, she's at work all the time. Mel was up in here, but Mel left, so I'll find somebody that may want to co-host tonight, guys. We'll see what's up. We will definitely see. But let me go ahead and touch up on this article real quick. I'm going to get this conversation flowing. Pan-African Village for returning diaspora in Ghana has some of the native population pissed off. This is from NPR. 4 years ago, Ghana launched a campaign to welcome people from the African diaspora back to the continent of their ancestors. The country has created a settlement offering free land to transplant so they can help build homes and businesses. But as NPR reports, the settlement has become a source of bitterness. And you got a bunch of people doing like a question and answer on here, guys. So some of these names are a little bit, they're really African names, so they're a little hard to pronounce. So I'm going to skip over some of the names. Dozens of houses are dotted across Pan-African Village, a rural settlement enveloped by miles of lush farmland and palm trees near the Atlantic coast. Nobody's ever lived there before. It was idle land. Linville Skyer says, He was the first to settle there 3 years ago and says he'll never leave. We meet in the lounge of his 6 bedroom home and guest house. I was born on the island of Jamaica a couple months before 1950, right? So I'm old man now or oldish. He lived and worked in Canada for over 40 years, but never felt that he really belonged. We as blacks and native people are regarded as second class citizens. We've reached a stage now where there's an option to find land, countries where you can be totally free. So he retired. He considered starting a new life elsewhere. And then in 2019, Ghana's president launched a major campaign. Fellow Ghanaians have dubbed this the Year of Return. The Year of Return was a call to the African diaspora to come back to the continent and to Ghana. Thousands of black people like Skyers arrived, encouraged to visit or even settle. Then he found out about a project offering free land and a settlement within the town along Ghana's Cape Coast. So we're walking through a dirt road in parts through this 5,000-acre expanse of lush farmland that's Pan-African Village. That's a diaspora settlement donated or offered by the local traditional ruler to any black diasporas wanting to come back to Ghana. All around me, there are clusters of homes that have already been built and many of them under construction, dotted all across this vast expanse of land. Moyan Vivali is among a small community of people living permanently in the Pan-African Village. She was born in Jamaica and then lived most of her life in the U.S. Then she moved from Atlanta, Georgia last year, and soon after, she said she was given a new title. My title is Diaspora Development Queen of Ghana. I met her in the living room sitting on a wooden throne, her feet on a stool that rests on a lion skin rug. She's dressed in kente fabric, traditional Ghanaian clothing draped over her shoulder. She says she was crowned by the chiefs from the GA ethnic group. I was concerned about my retirement and money that I was going to get for my Social Security, could not pay a light bill or water rate. But things turned around on a visit to Ghana. She acquired 2 plots of land and built a large 2-story house last year. It was salvation for me. I felt free. I asked her what she thinks about her life here. In Ghana, people are humble. They don't need much to live. Food is the most important to a lot of people in Ghana, you understand, okay? So they don't even need a fork. They use their hands. I mean, it sounds like poverty, but when you think about it, how much do you really need to survive? A lot of local people that we've spoken to feel like the diaspora have an advantage over them when they come here because they have foreign currency, they have access to land, and they don't have access to, yes, they should own, if you're here as a Ghanaian, you should be able to own your own land and build your own home. So it's not our fault. We didn't get anything free. But the local traditional ruler puts it differently from his palace on the hill overlooking the town. The ruler is known as a paramount chief and create the Pan-African Village there. I want to show our diaspora brothers that we care for them. They are from Africa. It's among a growing number of diaspora settlements that have emerged since the Year of Return. My last check showed that we have about 560 people who already have taken land. The land is free, and the only charges are what he calls administration fees of about $1,000 per plot. I asked him whether local people have the same opportunities. Every Ghanaian must have access to land here, so irrespective of whether you agree or whatever, you must have access to land. Land is life. But he evades the question, and some, like 59-year-old Kawisi, still even had their land taken away. So we have been farming there for so many years, for generations and for generations. We meet outside this modest home with other farmers and members of his extended family. I used to farm lime, coconuts, oranges, but it's all been destroyed. They are among hundreds who used to farm on that land that belonged to their family for at least 4 generations until the chief argued that as a traditional ruler of the town, he had the power to give it away. The family refute this and have taken him to court. They show me a copy of a high court order suspending any construction there, but the construction hasn't stopped. 44-year-old Daniel is another farmer in the family. He says when they went to challenge the diaspora's building there, they were threatened with guns. Some of the diasporas told us we have guns at our places, so if we went there again, they would shoot us. And now he's too afraid to go back there again. And they say they feel they've been hunted from their land. 68-year-old Ibasu is the head of a family. He says when he first heard about the settlement, he supported it until he was told his land of 123 acres would be given away. He says the chief told him the land was not to be sold but given away to the diaspora for free, so it wouldn't be paid for. No compensation. It means if I don't fight for it, my family property is going to lost. Okay, I see I see a DJ coming up here. So yeah, we have a serious situation over here. A lot of the locals are claiming that they're just pretty much they're getting land taken away and that they're not being compensated whatsoever from it. That the actual chief in the actual city is actually going over and above, and he's actually taking the land from them, not compensating the actual owners of the actual land and giving it to the actual new diasporans actually moving over there so they can go ahead and build and create settlements. You got, from what I read, you got some of the actual natives saying that you got people, some of the diasporas packing guns and everything else, telling them that if you come over here, we're going to shoot you. So it is a big mess going on over there right now. If you know anything about Ghana, from what I understand, they're not actually selling the land either. So I don't even know how that works out in the long term. They're not actually selling the land. They're giving them the land, but we know in a lot of these African countries, you have like these 90-some-year leases and stuff like that too. So even though the diasporas are building their homes and everything else there, do they even really own these homes? Do they actually own the land? So it right now it's just crazy going on because there's nothing really edged in stone. You got a group of people that's like what I read said that they had this property for 4 generations. It's being taken. They haven't been given anything in return. Now the diasporas, they're coming over there for $1,000. They can get a plot for, and I guess the only thing they got to pay is the administration fees. $1,000 to get a plot of land. We know that's dirt cheap. They go ahead, they build the actual houses. You're hearing a lot of them talk about building 2-story homes and everything else like that. But my thing is, what happens if you don't actually have the actual deed, say you actually own this property? Because like I said, it doesn't seem like they actually they own the house, but it doesn't seem like they actually own the actual land, from my understanding. Like, because they're not selling the land, so I don't know exactly how the situation is working out, how the situation is going to go down, but it's creating a lot of tension. It's creating a lot of tensions. I had heard some stuff about Gambia. People. It was, I guess, you had issues between the actual locals over there in Gambia and some of the actual diasporas that actually moving over there as well too. So, man, you got your hands full on this one right here. You really got your hands full now. I know a lot of times we've had spaces and we talked about the whole Pan-African ideology and coming together, and for the longest everybody's been saying come to Africa and build and we can do this and we can do that. Well, it looks like you had this going on, that they actually created this actual 5,000 acre settlement, but a lot of the actual people, the natives over there, they say, hey, we're not thrilled about this. We're being left out. And they feel also that you have a major advantage over there because you're coming over there with the US dollar. So your dollar is going to go a lot further than that actual Ghanaian dollar as well, too. You're going to be able to purchase and buy things that they couldn't. So people feel like, hey, you're being stepped over and this and that or whatever. Now, that sounds vaguely, when Black people say stuff about what's going on in this country, except the Black people that come over, the Black people, in this country, when they go someplace, they're not being aided by the actual government. They're using their actual own money. They're bringing over there as well, too. So you got a really, really tricky situation going on here right now. I don't know exactly what's going to go on with this, how it's going to go on, but at this point in time, the unity and everything else coming together, trying to build the whole Pan-African ideology that they talk about so much, it seems like it's almost DOA. It seems like it's almost non-existent. If you would ask some of those actual citizens over there, I'm pretty sure they would love nothing more for those actual diasporans. And to be fair, I don't know exactly how many Black Americans over there, but I would assume that you have some. We heard a couple instances where you had some Caribbean people over there, but I would have to imagine that you got to have some Black Americans over there as well too. I mean, I just don't, we have a number of Black Americans because the year of return, when that happened, most of the actual people from the diaspora that was actually going over to Ghana and everything else were actual Black Americans. DJ, what's going on? I see you up in the space. Can you hear me? 1 2 1 2. You there, DJ?
Yeah, I'm here. Just doing something in the background. What's going on, family? Newstoter. I'll share the roll my y'all. So yeah, only him and them gangs getting paid. There you go, bro. What's good?
All right, all right. What's up? I see original up in here too. Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Miss Shannon. Shout out to Black Pressure. I see Pressure down there at the bottom. Bottom QT. What's going on as well too? Trans. I see you up in the spot. We got a number of y'all up in here. That's always the normals up in here as well too. I'm sure Rella, she's probably getting her work on, but when she gets a chance, I'm sure she's gonna come up here and speak as well too, man. And man, what I mean, where my Pan Africans at, so they can kind of explain this or whatever, and better let us know exactly what's going on. Like, this is a space we need some of the Pan Africans in. We need Fahim up in here. We need what's his name, Shy up in here. We need Apia. We need some of our Pan African people that come up in the spaces all the time and come up in here and explain us exactly why there's so much friction, why there's so much there's content, why it's to the point that people packing guns and everything else over there. Exactly what's going on over there in the motherland, because I thought going back over there, I thought that was a thing that everybody was saying that we could do. We could go back over there, we can build homes and this and that for cheap, which it seemed like you got some of these people doing that, building homes for cheap or whatever. But at the same time, a number of the actual citizens, they're like, hey man, y'all are overstepping your boundary. Like, this is not fair. This is not right. And I can understand them saying, hey, you know what? You come in here, you're bypassing us with property or this and that or whatever. Or if we had property in our family, we have to give it to you. So exactly too, what's the Chiefs angle on this whole thing as well too? 5,000, 5,000 acres. I guess if you sell $1,000 plot or whatever, I wonder exactly how much the actual chief is making on this as well too. Of course, they've taken it to court and everything else, so we're gonna see how this thing plays out. But everybody up in the space, guys, make sure y'all share the room out. We're gonna be discussing this tonight. Black Pressure, when you get a chance, I'm gonna send you an invite too, because I want to hear what you got to say about this. I know you probably in the gym working out. So our usuals, I'm sending y'all invites because I want to hear what you guys got to say, and I'm sure when you guys get a chance, y'all will come up here and actually speak on it as well too. So shout out. But let me get to the man who always helps get it jumping. Let me go ahead and get to Mr. Original. What's going on and what's happening with the love with the Pan African thing here, man? I don't understand this. I thought when we came back to the motherland, and I thought when they said they brought all of the children from the diaspora back home, that everything would be everything, and we'd be chilling underneath a mango tree and whatnot, and living lush or whatever. What's going on here?
Greetings, everybody. Peace, black power, and lineage-based reparation. I've seen several videos of like some people from Jamaica who had, I guess leased land or whatever, and they built several properties, and then they turn around and someone was taking the property from them because it looks as if their policy with, giving this land away or whatever it is they're doing, it's not a stable policy. But I looked at several videos before, and they said something about you have to go get the chief fingerprint and this, that, and whatever. And I'm like, but this does not. It's bad enough for us trying to buy a home here in America, but going to another country, and I don't think they thought this out well. Because one, I don't think it's right to take somebody else, allocate it to somebody else, because there's going to create some. And then two, you got says whenever there's some friction or some kind of issue going on with with people with black skin, or the hairy hidden white hand, because there's a lot of that going on over there. There was another video whereby this American brother, he had went to some club over there in Ghana, And so he was told before that he would have to pay for a table and then buy X number of drinks. So he said, well, is it okay if I just come in and look around for a minute and see if I want to, and it's a pretty popular club in Ghana. So what he noticed was there were some white people over there who wasn't, buying the drinks the way, in the manner in which they told him he had to buy drinks. And when he questioned them about it, he was told that, well, they're not going to do it. Well, why are you letting some foreigner, especially your enemy, come up in your spot and dictating to you how they're going to come up in your spot? And so there's a lot of stuff that's going on over there, and it's not just Ghana. It's a number of these countries where they've had this return to Africa perspective, and they want particularly Black Americans to come over there and begin to build. But for me, I can't go over there and say I'm going to build a house and I'm subject to losing the house, because there has been some issues where some people, there was two sisters from Texas, and they were Pan-Africanists and they loved Africa, and they went over to Ghana, and so they got some land and built a nice home, and then some of the locals wanted the home and the land, so they had to go to court, and the sisters, the American sisters, they won, and then the next thing you know, somebody killed them. So there's a great deal going on, and I understand that I don't think they thought this process out well, because, to be honest, like I said, I don't think it's fair to take land from someone else. Now, maybe they should have done something as far as like they were sharing the land with with the people who have been in possession of the land for generations. Maybe they could share some of the land or something like that. I don't know what their stipulations are over there, but I know this one brother. Well, his parents have passed now, so I don't know when. Normally, he will call me when he come back to the States. He lives in Ghana, and he has a business, and he's married to a man. But I just think that I think what the government really saw was, dollar signs that they could get Black Americans to come over there and and purchase, lease land and build a home. But then I saw something else whereby they're saying that there's a growing exodus of diasporan that went over to Ghana and other places. Now they're trying to get the hell out. They said this is not working, and so I think maybe the process wasn't worked out too well, and I think it's just going to cause problems all the way around. But like I told you about the bar that this American brother went into. See, I don't think they go through all this stuff with white people and others. They come in, they get whatever it is they want. Nobody says anything. But because so many people, especially a lot of the people in Africa, their mind is so permeated with these religions, Christianity and Islam, and it's just insane. I saw a video with this was a Hebrew Israelite brother. He walked into this church. I don't know which country it was in, but there was an African brother sitting on the floor, just gazing at this image of Jesus hanging on the cross. He was in a euphoric state. So the brother approached me and said, "Hey, Jesus is black." And he says, "That's blasphemous. That's black." I mean, I thought some of our people were, confused with this religion, but they have had, and it has had such an impact on them. I don't think they're ever going to be right, because the brother that I know that lives in Ghana, he was supposed to bring this book back so I can make a copy of it. The book is an area in Ghana called Lati, and what happened is after they were conquered, they was being forced to go to these Christian churches. But then the white folks saw that it wasn't working well, that they were just going through the motion. So what they did after that, they went after the children. And once they got the children indoctrinated, that was it. That they were just passed down from generation to generation. And now we are where we are now. And it's like, the same thing with Islam. His brother, he was in, he's in Ghana. And so he was friends with this guy who was a Muslim. And they would chop it up and this, that, and whatever. And so what happened is they got to talking about what race was Muhammad. And so the African brother was like, well, in Islam we don't see color. There's not, they stuck on that lie. So he had a young son, that my friend knew. And he started like, hey, big man, what's going on? He said, let me ask you something. He said, what color is Muhammad? And the son said, white. See, when you give people these subliminal images of these religious figures or whatever, and more than likely, if there is some paraphernalia that they're passing out regarding, the religion, more than likely the images are white. And so you have a lot of people in Africa whereby they have this white mindset, and it can be triggered, especially to turn against Black Americans in particular. And so I think a great deal of this has to do with what images these people have been sold through religion, because that right there to me is a key fact. But I don't think it's right, though, to take land. I think what they should be doing is to see how they could possibly share the land or something, or something, because I don't think it's, like I said, I don't think it's well thought out at all. And so this is it's only gonna create more friction. And the more friction you have, you're gonna have things going on like, now I don't know why, but remember, Meek Mill was attacked in Ghana. They stole his cell phone, and he basically had to run for his life. I think this was last year or the year before that he had to run and try to get to safety because the Ghanaians was, for whatever reason, they attacked Meek Mill. And so, and now now you see all this stuff whereby when COVID hit and you started seeing a lot of these Black immigrants from Africa and other places, how they was, making all these pejorative comments about Black Americans. And again, that could be something that was instigated by that hairy hidden white hand as well. So there's a number of things that's going on. I think it's gonna take some negotiation and really some well thought out platforms to see how, because as we say now, we are a unique and distinct culture here in America, and so it's going to take some kind of coaxing to see how, for those that choose to do this, how can you coexist with the local? Because it's not just happening to America. There are some Jamaicans and even some of the ones that some of the ones that was born here or in other parts of the world, when they go there, they see them as being, I think in Ghana, they call them Overrooney. That means foreigner. So they see them as that, as that same state, as not being one of the locals, even though their parents are from there. So I think it's going to be, it's going to be a process that they're going to have to really put some thought into it, and everybody involved will have to be included in whatever meetings and so forth that they have. And I'll end with that.
All right, thank you, Original. DJ, you want to say something? I see you got your hand up, or you just got it up. Okay, I don't know if DJ's there. I see his hand is up, but he may not be in the space right now. I'm gonna agree with you on one thing.
Yeah, I'm here, bro. I just can't stand this damn Twitter, bro. Like, what the hell is wrong with this damn application, man? Just delayed and terrible. But go ahead if you want to say so. I'll go after you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I agree with what you're saying, original too. Here's the one thing: when I was reading the article, it started off talking about, well, the land was idle and nobody had lived, and the next thing people are losing actual acres and land that was in their family for generations now. If you to me, that doesn't make any sense. Like you said, now you can go ahead if you're talking about creating a settlement or this and that or whatever. First off, let's try to create a settlement where nobody lives at. If nobody finds some land, and there should be plenty of land where people not living at. Now we understand Africa has a huge population, so if it is something where people's living at, then they need to go ahead and work out some kind of agreement between the chief and the actual people that's there, the actual owners of the actual land, and see how we're going to go about doing this. Whether however it is, I don't understand that whatsoever. I don't understand how the chief could just go ahead, take people land, and take it for free. You're taking people land, and then you're giving it to somebody else. And and they're talking about just $1,000 for a plot, which, like I said, is peanuts. Somebody will tell you, hey, you can get land over here for $1,000. I mean, everybody in this space probably be copping some land, but you're getting it for peanuts. You got people going and building houses on it, this and that or whatever. So I don't understand that. That's going to create tension. That's going to create bad blood. That could get to the point where it can get really, really dangerous. You got people already armed with guns and everything else like that. Now, this is from what they're saying from the actual, from the article. They're saying that the Diasporans have guns and everything else like that. We're not there, so we don't understand. We don't know if that's the case or not. So now you got to the point where you're gonna have people saying, well, we got these black foreigners on our land with guns and stuff, and they've been given our land. So that's just bad optics right there. That's just bad optics. Now, we had a space a few weeks ago where we were talking about and this is West Africa, of course, over here in Ghana, but East Africa, I believe it was Kenya or whoever, they was trying to get Black Americans to come there so they could create settlements and this and that or whatever, and have tourism and trying to get the Black American dollar, because they were trying to make something like 1 odd billion dollars off actual the Black American economy here. So it seems that Africa's making a real effort in trying to lure Black people back over there, Black Americans over there. But here, this is diaspora period. Like Ghana, it seems like you have a number, like you said, original. You have a number of Caribbean people over there as well too, but they try to lure the actual diasporans back to Africa, from what it seems, to go ahead and help, build up the economy and create some of these new thriving towns and settlements and everything else like that as well too. But if you're gonna go to that point where you're gonna do that, nobody wants to come over there. And most Black Americans don't want to come over there and take people land either. You're not trying to capitalize off of somebody else's misfortune. So this doesn't seem like this is even thought out whatsoever. You're putting all this money and all of this effort into this right here, and at the same time, you're about to create some real friction over there. If they don't get a handle on this and get a handle on this really fast, this is going to go more than sideways here. You're going to have some major issues over there. And I myself would not feel confident if I'm purchasing real estate, if I'm purchasing land or whatever. I want to be the owner. I'm not trying to go ahead. And I know people say, well, it's a 99-year lease and this and that. Of course, you're not going to live 99 years. You go over there and you're not going to live an additional, if you're 45, you're not going to live another 99 years or whatever. But, when people do get real estate and things like that, you want to be able to go ahead and leave it to your family. So I don't want to just purchase something and then I can't leave it to a family member or whatever. I can't leave it to a child or something like that. So I'm getting this money, and it's basically like you're leasing it, like you're leasing a car or whatever, or leasing until you pass away. And then all of the money and all of the effort and the home and everything else you put into it, is gone. So, I don't understand that. Like I said, I think they need to come up with a better way. If you're going to go ahead and create these settlements, it should not be at the expense of other people as well too. You cannot have it where you got people coming over there, and they're trying to fit into a society as well too. And the next thing you know, it's pissed people off for the simple fact that, hey, people feel like you're taking my ancestral land, you're taking generational land from us, and we didn't get paid one penny for it. And here you come over here with your foreign capital, your dollar, and your British pound and everything else like that, and you're able to buy things that we can't buy. So you're setting a very bad precedence right here. You're gonna have a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy, a lot of mistrust going on with people over here as well too. You're really gaslighting it. And that chief, he's supposed to be the actual the leader and everything else like that. That can't sit well with people. That just really can't sit well. And the whole thing about Pan-Africanism is supposed to be, from my understanding, is about unity and working together and building and everything else like that. Well, if you're doing all of this right here, I don't see how you can build together and how you can work together and live together in peace and harmony and all this other stuff, because now you have some really, really people harboring some real resentment towards people right here. It's really, really, really a touchy situation right here. You don't know how this thing can go, and unless they do something, and then, like Original said, we've heard stories about people thinking they have this and they own this or whatever, only find out, hey, I actually don't own this. This is actually not mine. I can imagine the actual system and how everything goes with the paperwork over there is completely different over here. You can't build. You got to have all kind of permits and license and everything else before you get ready to start building and this and that or whatever. So this is really this is really an issue right here. This is really troubling right here, just to say the least. Liberal econ, that is, I believe it is. I know you had your hand up. Did you want to say anything?
I'm sorry. I was trying to read a little bit more into it. I read this last week because it came across my news feed a while ago, and apparently you said that the land is not in perpetuity. It's for so many years. You said 99 years.
That's how it is with some leases and stuff in Africa. Now, I'm not sure if this is one is. Yeah, I'm not totally sure, but I know a lot of times you can't actually own it if you're a foreigner, but you can. They have some of these leases that's like 99-year leases and stuff.
So, according to NPR and the other news article I read, it appears as though that you can purchase the land, but I don't know to what extent. Like here in the United States, property rights are near absolute, right? And it's in perpetuity. Right, and so there are problems when it comes to having the nation state of Ghana set aside this land, and for what covenants, what restrictions, and that type of thing. And that's a huge problem when it comes to capital investment into the continent of Africa, because all these countries, they don't have a stable body of laws with which to prop up property rights and investment. So that becomes a huge problem. You don't know. I remember this one Nigerian actress or whatever. She was popular on Instagram or what have you, and she built this house, and they tore it right the fuck back down several years later. I think it was a year later or so, because she built.
Hey, real quick, Liberal, I'm muting you, but don't curse. But I'm gonna go ahead and let you finish, but don't curse. For all the speakers as well too, don't curse. I'm unmuting you. Go ahead. I know it's a delay.
Sorry about that. But they had destroyed her property, destroyed her house, because again, it violated certain permits and so certain rules and regulations. So you don't know what you're getting into, right? And that's the point. I think that that everyone's making, that you don't know what you're getting into as far as protecting that investment and having those rights protected as well in perpetuity. And so it ends up being just a farce. Like you said, it ends up being a farce. It ends up being a problem. And again, you're talking about the resentment, right? That's a whole nother piece. Whether or not you're going to have these people that are on that live on the periphery of this village, whether or not they're going to work with you and developing something, right, and having that community grow. So it's problematic all the way around. Like you just said, you know, at the beginning of your submission, there wasn't a whole lot of thought put into this, right? There wasn't a whole lot of thought put into this, and so it's just a debacle all the way around. It ends up being just a farce all the way around. So again, thank you for letting me speak.
No problem. And I agree with what you said. It just seemed like somebody just came up with an idea in the top of the head and just said, "Hey, let's go ahead and put it like this right here." It could have been thought out better. It could have been implemented a whole lot better as well too. And I don't think you would still have some resentment. Let's not get it twisted. If you got people coming over there and they have access to more capital than the people living over there, you're coming from one of these first world type countries, you're coming from the UK, you're coming from America, you're coming from Canada, you know, you have the currency your currency is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times more than what the actual Ghanaian dollar is. You're going to have some people that's going to harbor resentment towards you. So we can just, put that out there. There are going to be some people that's not going to like you coming over there, taking opportunities from them, even though you're not unlike here in America, where the actual government is actually assisting people, the foreigners coming over here and position them in places and stuff like that. You go to one of these African nations, their government, is not really going to be, is not going to be feeding you money and clothing you and housing you and this and that. You're going to have to actually have the money yourself to go ahead and do all these things that you're going to want to do. But I just don't understand the actual aspect of the actual chief. To me, this wasn't thought out and planned well. And like I said, like Original said, you had the situation with Meek Mill, and of course, Meek Mill is a celebrity, so that's a little bit different. But Meek Mill got hit up, and I think he did lose a watch, a phone, or something like that. It was last year sometime. I can't really remember exactly what it was, but in terms of you got some brothers and sisters that's over here in America. They want to go someplace and live where they feel, how expensive it is in America right now to actually rent someplace. They're figuring that, hey, if I can take me $25,000, $30,000 with me, go over here, I could build me a nice house or whatever and live there. I don't have to worry about all of the bills and everything else, and life is cheaper there as long as they have their income. A lot of people you probably got more people that may be retired and stuff like that. They can actually do that. So they're thinking about doing that as a way of, trying to just survive or whatever. Like, hey, I don't have $2,000 to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in America, whatever. I'm getting older. My pay is cut in half. I'm not going to be bringing home what I was making before, whatever. I got this money. I'll go over there and build it, whatever. But you got to be careful, man, with that little bit of nest egg. And we know our nest eggs are going to be smaller than say white people nest eggs. You go over there and you get finessed out of those dollars, then you're in the world of hurt. And, I'm sure there's some stories like that of people going over there with good intentions and thinking that they were going to go ahead and they were, going to live the rest of their lives over there. And then, they get swindled out of their hard-earned money. So that's always a possibility. And like I said, I just don't see this. Like I said, we see the call to action right now. You see it even from somebody like Akon, who's constantly trying to get black people to come over to Akon, like, oh, come over here and build. And if black Americans come over here, you guys will be the wealthiest people in the world. And yada, yada, yada. Y'all need to come, stop being afraid, come over here and build or whatever. Because Akon, I don't know when his city that's being fronted to him by the Chinese, when that's going to be finished. And that's his little Akon city, when that's going to be completely done or whatever. But he's trying to get people to come over there. Like I said, you got other nations and stuff like that, especially, Ghana's kind of leading the way too. People saw the year return. They saw the kind of money Ghana made. I don't know if Ghana made close to $1 billion or something off that year return, but they made a lot of money. So they're trying to go ahead. They're trying to get black people, black Americans to come over there. They're trying to get black Caribbeans as well to come over there as well too. Hey, come over here, help build, live, and everything else like that. And, on your ancestral homeland, come back home and everything else like that. But like I said, they're not making it easier with these chiefs sitting up here. We've seen the chiefs as well too in some of these, especially some of these West African nations. I've seen clips and stuff. I've seen videos with these same chiefs. Some of them were having Chinese coming in there and making them honorary chiefs and everything else, and you had Chinese marrying into the actual into these actual tribes and stuff like that, intermarriage. Like I think somebody said that on over there on YouTube, that that's one way you can own land is through intermarriage. So you know who knows? I see we got Stephanie up here, and I'm gonna get to original Stephanie. What's going on tonight? How you doing?
Hey there, Newstoter. I'm at work as always. Shout out to everybody in the room. I just wanted to touch on something that Original said about how they treated the whites different from the blacks over there. I've seen a few videos myself, and it's not to, pretty much dog or trash anybody else's way and how they survive and how their system worked them over there. But I think they definitely need to have stronger policies, especially when it comes to people that don't look like them. Okay, they come over there. They're so enamored, especially if I seen one video. This white guy was speaking pidgin, and boy, the Nigerians had a field day. It was like watching the Lord just come and say, "I just love you people," and that's it. They were just enamored with this guy. And they was just giving him free stuff the whole entire time he was there because he said one or two words in pidgin. So, it just shows you how far some people take things. Whereas it'll be somebody that you say looks almost identical to you, but they just have different features from your own. There was also a video of this white man who was in, I believe that it was either Uganda or Kenya, and he was an American white male. And the whole entire time he disrespected those very same people that waited on him hand and foot in his hotel. And he was calling them all kinds of niggas, and he told them that they was not going to do anything to him because he's the white American. And that video is somewhere on YouTube, I can't remember, but he literally trashed them, and he was pulled out a German flag in their country, pulled it out and was waving it at them, and cursing them out, calling them all kinds of horrendous names. So it's just you too, thank you. It's just that it's really sad to see, some people, how they differ, how they treat them to how they treat their own supposed cousins across the ocean. It's really sad to see that. But it just goes to show that people in the diaspora have a lot of work to do. It's all about self-preservation. It's about working with each other, putting the tribalism down, and maybe they can have a more stabilized country, whereas everybody else can come in and just say, hey, we all have to work on ourselves at some point and say, hey, I love you. Let's just put this stuff down and just get along so we can build a better nation. I think that's what it is on their part, and as well as our part as also. But the thing is it's just that some people just have a deep-seated hatred. They can't put it down because they've been dealing with it for thousands of years, or however long they were dealing with it. So it's going to be almost impossible. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but it's just going to be a minute before they actually see that coming to fruition. But as far as us, I just love the way how we're working and how much progress we're making in the past few years. It just shows that it really does work if we know how to put our differences to the side. We can make things change. And I think the same thing can happen over there if they put their differences to the side and just say, hey, we got to work together. We got enemies on our soil. I hope it makes sense. But yeah, they definitely got a lot of work to do. As far as that, like I said, I'm glad we're doing what we have to do. But for right now, this Pan-African thing has to be on pause. Definitely has to be on pause. Not saying that it's not a possibility, but it definitely has to be on pause. Self-reflection is the first thing that needs to come into the minds of everyone, especially over there. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of things that I want to touch on, but I right now my mind is so foggy because I'm at work. But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. I see D on YouTube. D says Africa has the youngest population on the planet. They're going to be fine. Okay, D. I mean, I don't think anybody's in the space of, wishing anything bad on Africa. I mean, I definitely want to see them prosper and do well as like anybody else. They have the resources, they have the land, like you said, they have the the young population as well too. So I definitely would like to see them go ahead and do that. At the same time, we do know that you're going to have a number of people in this country, not a significant number, but you're going to have some black people in this country, black Americans. You're going to have some black people from the diaspora, from the Caribbean and perhaps maybe even South America. They're going to go over there, they're going to shoot their shot, and they're going to see exactly what's what, if they can make things happen over there as well too. And I'm just saying, the way this is structured, the way everything is happening, from the article I read, from the understanding that I got from it, I think it's going to create a lot of tension. It's already creating a lot of tension. And when you're starting to have people in this article, like I said, I don't know how true it is, when you're starting to have people saying that, hey, that they're taking our land and this and that, we're not getting anything in return. And then when we go over there, you're already having conflict between the actual native population and the actual diasporans, where they're talking about, well, the diasporans, they got guns and they're telling us that they're going to shoot us or whatever. So you're already getting to a point, you already have conflict on your hands right here. And it doesn't take much to escalate. So, I mean, you're potentially talking about people could lose their lives because something that could have been promising, or potentially something that could have been beneficial for both sides, the actual native population and the people that did actually want to go over there, the handful of people that want to go over there, now it's a powder keg potentially getting ready to blow up, because simply people did not think about the logistics of things like here. Like, too many times in history we see, especially if you study Western Civ and American history and all this other stuff, that was one thing that we were all of us grew up talking about. When you're talking about Columbus and all this stuff, but this person discovered this and this European explorer, how the hell you gonna discover something and people are already living somewhere? How are you the first? I mean, you're not the first to step foot on this soil or whatever. If somebody's already living in it, guess what? They've already beaten you to the punch. So my thing right here, and that was kind of confusing about the article as well. Like, part of it said that, it was idle. Nobody was there. Then I'm starting hearing that, they took land from this person, took land from that person. So it's confusing. This chief up here, I don't know exactly how much this chief, what he's taking out of it or what as well too, because, a lot of these chiefs feel like they should get something no matter what. The chief is telling people that, hey, this is what's going to be or whatever. So you got resentment for the diasporans, you got resentment for the native population, and I'm sure a bunch of them can't stand the chief as well too, because the chief then came in here and he just straight, he deboing folks. So there's gonna be some animosity towards him as well too. Straight up, if the chief sitting up here, hey chief, we just had 123 acres of land, and it's all gone, and we were growing oranges and limes and this on it, and now we can't make any money. We don't own the land anymore, and we didn't get anything in return, not even a measly $1,000 or $500. You can't help but harbor some ill will towards that person that's going ahead and facilitating these actual agreements and these actual deals as well too. Because, like I say, what is the chief actually getting out of it? And we already know, if we go off of history, some of these African chiefs and stuff, they didn't make some of the greatest when they came to trades and stuff like that. I mean, right or wrong, historically, they're known for screwing up a lot of these trades and stuff. They had a lot of trades. It was just so completely uneven, i.e. the Atlantic slave trade and everything else like that as well too, that, for the amount of people they were giving away, the actual, resources they were getting back in return was minuscule. So, it just, to me, it doesn't make any sense right here with the way this thing is going. And like I said, you got a number of nations, and I'm even surprised, even with Kenya, we did the Kenya thing, and Kenya was talking about return to the Garden of Eden or whatever, because, people always talk about the Garden of Eden was supposed to be in East Africa on that side, even though, quote unquote, we're told that, hey, we really don't have much, East African blood in us. It'd be mostly West African. But even they're trying to get Black Americans to come there because people see the dollar signs. They say, hey, y'all the richest Negroes on earth. So we can get y'all to come here, and we know y'all like to spend. Y'all may not have the most say, but you guys definitely like to go ahead and spend that money. So come on over here as well too and spend the money with us. So it's one of those things. Like I said, I don't think the chief really thought out the way that they were actually doing things in terms of trying to go ahead and trying to go ahead and just creating an environment where you wouldn't have people at each other's throat. It hasn't got to that point yet, but I can see this thing, just falling off. It's to that point. Like I said, it's already getting to that point. The tension that's building, and this is supposed to be, when you're talking about Pan-African, this is supposed to be something that's supposed to be a unifying type thing here. It's not supposed to create division and everything else. So you're getting to the point now that it's seriously getting to the point where it's about to create some division here. Original Fahima, can you hear me? Can you raise your? I don't know if I know you came up here to speak, but I know sometimes your hand thing isn't working. If you want to speak, you can just raise your.
I can't raise my hand.
Fahima, your phone breaking up, sweetie. Yeah, your phone is breaking up. The last couple of times you've been here, your phone's been kind of breaking up quite a bit.
Okay. Can you hear me better, sir?
I can hear you.
Better?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it comes and it kind of goes. Say something else again.
Well, you're in Africa. The reception ain't that good.
Oh, you're in Africa? You're in Africa? Okay.
Yeah, but if you could put me in the queue, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, well, you up here. Matter of fact, if you want to speak now, because Original and Stephanie already went. If you want to speak now, I'll let you go ahead and speak. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. We'll get back to Fahima then. I was gonna let her speak, but I think she is having some issues with her phone. I didn't know she was in Africa either. Go ahead, Original. You got it.
Yeah, that whole process over there, man. It's like they have to trying to get the permits, and then you have to have
Can you hear me?
some sort of.
Yeah, I can hear you, Fahima. Go ahead, Original. She disconnecting. Go ahead.
You have to have some type of a liaison or something posted how they're supposed to work with you.
Original, I can get you a little bit loud. You're not on your earbuds, are you?
Okay. Yeah, let me see. Okay, can you hear me now?
It's about the same. Say something else.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Pretty much about the same, but go ahead.
Okay. When you get some of these people, like I said, you have to go through this arduous process and trying to, build a home and stuff. And in some cases, it has taken people, well over a year or something to build a house. Because their process over there in Africa, it's not like here, and whereby you enter into an agreement here, whereby they're gonna, build this home. You're expecting it to be built by a certain time, but over there it's a totally different process. And then you got how what you said earlier regarding how they see, us Black Americans as having all this money. I remember seeing a video with this sister and her husband. They was at one of their little markets or something, and when they see them coming, they jack up the price, and because I guess they figure that they can pay for it. So it's just it's just quite a number of issues this whole process has, to whereby I don't think it's going to lure too many Black Americans there to live, because I saw a video once where this sister, she said that she was in Ghana, even where she said that the Ghanaian police, they were harassing her. And so, I think she came to the conclusion where, hell, if I'm going to be harassed, I may as well be harassed in the terrain that I know, because, they can do stuff to you and nothing really going to happen to them, because technically, you really don't have any rights over there to an extent. Now, I know the sisters when they were trying to take her house, and she ended up getting killed, but she went through their court system and she won. And so I just think this, and it's like, I know Black Pressure had posted, he had posted it before, and I saw it even prior to that, whereby when Malcolm X went to Africa once, and he was telling them about we have the same problem, and it's white folks. And they told Malcolm X, well, we got our own problem. So, so it's like technically they're not looking to work with us; they just want the money, and that's it. And that process is not going to work well, because I can't see myself, going over there trying to live, and then I got to, go through look like more crap than I have to go through here. And so I just think I wish there was more of the Pan Africans that was in here. I mean, that would come in here, and we could really have like an open dialogue, because, like as I tell people, I don't have anything against Africa or Africans, but I cannot allow them to disrespect us or thinking that they can pimp us to do something that's not in our best interest. And so I think there's a number of things that have to be worked out, because, as you said earlier, there were some things going on, I think within Chad or somewhere else, in some of these other African countries, whereby the Black Americans are just saying, look, that's it, we are out. And they're just not, I mean, they're trying to get out some of them are trying to get out as quickly as possible. Some of them say they moved there, they say they love it, they say it's working for them. But I think there has to be a process by which people have to understand, because so many Black people's mindset is just so twisted, and that's twisted against each other, and that's around the globe. You can it's just like how DJ always say when he talked to the Dominican, I know black poppy, I know black poppy, I know black, and they're dark, and some of them are dark than all of us put together, but they're not black. So so I just wanted to say that in our land.
All right. Thank you, Original. Yeah, I was hoping that we would get some of the actual Pan Africans up in here as well, too. And who knows, maybe as the space goes on, we may be able to get one or two up in here. And, I just wanted to get their perspective on what's going on over there with this actual, this Pan African village as well, too. We don't have any up in the actual space. For Hema, she was up in here, but she was having some connection issues. Sound like she said she was in Africa as well, too. So, if Fahima gets a chance, I'm sure she'll get back on as well, and it'd be interesting to hear what she's got to say as well too. Real quick, let me read what D said over on YouTube. D says FBA needs to reestablish our economic base in America. That will make it much easier to migrate to Africa and do business. Okay. It says D also says no FBA woman should be getting on a plane going anywhere on her own. Okay, D. See you on that. Shout out. So we see a number of our people up in here as well too. Shout out to Trouble. I see Trouble down there as well too. So shout out to Trouble. What's up, Governor? What's up, that Negro? I see you up in here. Stephanie, I know you at work, so let me let you go ahead and get on here if you're still available.
Yes. I just wanted to say, you mentioned Akon. I think Akon got some problems of his own, because Akon City is yet to be built. And he was under investigation for possible scams. So just to give you a heads up on that. But thank you.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know Akon. I don't know when his city's supposed to be. I forgot when that city was supposed to be getting born, but getting built. But Akon's trying to get as many of y'all to come over there and invest in that city as well, too. Let's not forget the Chinese. They're holding the piggy bank. They're the front men on that as well, too. So you wonder exactly how much power Akon's really gonna have behind him as well too, and that money, you have to pay them Chinese up, because the Chinese are coming over there. They're collecting. You don't pay them, they're taking stuff as well too. So Akon, the clock is ticking on him. He's got to come up with that. He's gonna have to. That's why he's trying to use his celebrity status to go ahead and get as many Black people, especially Black celebrities and Black people with money, to come over there as well too, and start buying up houses and everything else. I don't know if that's going to be a smart city that they're trying to establish there as well too, but definitely, Akon's definitely trying to go ahead and get it done over there. DJ, what's up? I know you got your hand up.
Not much over here, just chilling. Shout out to the room. Hey, look, I think a lot of our folks was warned even back then not to even go to Africa, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, what is really over there for you, you know what I mean? Now, a lot of us obviously can't stand America in the colonist government, the colonialist government that we deal with every day. So people leave for that, you know what I mean? I know I got folks in my family that have changed their name dealing with Jim Crow and civil rights. They don't want their American birth-given name. They changed their name to Muslim names or African names. You know, that's understandable. But for the most part, you know, everything that is modern day technology was built right here in America. So, you know, why would you want to leave that? You feel what I'm saying? So shout out to Brother Black Majority right here. I'll let him speak real quick. I got actually doing something in the background, but I'll come right back up.
All right. Black, you there? You want to go ahead and speak?
Yeah, definitely. 10-4. Shout out Newstoter, DJ, Stephanie, Original, everybody in the space. So I just came up because, you know, we talk about population projections often. And so we know, the African population is going to really, really explode. These Europeans are looking at it. I got to assume the Asians are looking at it too. And they're actually behind the scenes plotting on ways to stop that explosion, to be quite honest. But the person you said on YouTube who said something about they're young, they'll be okay. I don't really understand the mindset behind that thinking. 200 years ago, having large populations to do the physical labor made a lot of sense. 100 years ago made less sense today. Everything is really technology driven and increasingly in the future, more and more so, is going to be technology that's doing most of the work, to be quite honest, whether it's farming or whatever it is, with a human operator kind of overseeing what's going on. Having a lot of people in a place where they've had high death rates from starvation, malnutrition. This is a constant theme in sub-Saharan Africa. Hundreds of millions of people suffer starvation and hunger on a regular basis daily in the sub-Saharan continent. And if you double the population, but you're not doubling the yield of food production, you're going to be in a much worse off position. Being young doesn't solve that problem. It doesn't help that problem. It exacerbates it and, in fact, makes it much, much worse. In human history, having age really determined wealth because you've had life experience, you were able to build wealth. Having age determined wisdom because you've had life experience and you've developed wisdom over time. And you're dealing with a demonic European population and increasingly this Asian population who's kind of trying to come back into its own and get back to number one, which is where they were at before the United States was created. And they're going to be just as demonic, to be quite honest. And they don't care about Africa or Africans in any way, shape, or form. And so they're going to be devising all kind of ways to interrupt, to steal the resources, to keep that population starving and barely eating hand to mouth for as long as they possibly can. And just having a bunch of young people running around is not going to be a solution when they got autonomous weapon systems, F-16 fighter jets that are flying autonomously, not even remotely, but simply through technology. Like, we're in a whole different paradigm, and I think that for whatever reason, people still think that we're living in a time where if you got a lot of people, that will insulate you from something. It won't. Like, they don't have the logistics, the capacity, the funds, the resources to move that population to go and invade anywhere on the planet Earth. They are literally stuck where they're at. And they don't have enough food, and likely over time they won't have enough water. So having your population explode is just not going to be a good thing. If everybody really understands what's happening and what's coming. Yeah, I mean, they're in a world of hurt. I think their average age is like 26. You know, it's gonna be a horrible century for sub-Saharan Africa if they don't really figure out what's going on. And I'll just end with that.
All right. Thank you, Black. Appreciate you coming up here tonight as well, guys. Up in the Jumbotron, we have the YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel and you're in the X space, definitely go ahead and subscribe. Same for my people that's on YouTube listening. If you have not subscribed to the channel, guys, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also, for those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. And for those that's on YouTube, the Cash App is on the actual screen, and the Venmo and PayPal is up in the actual description as well, too, guys. Any amount that you can donate to the platform is greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead and get to Fahim. I know you was having some issues getting up here. Can you speak now?
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, and I apologize. It's just where I'm at. I'm surrounded by mountains and what have you, so the perception isn't always great. So I know
You're in Africa, Fahima?
No, I was joking.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I do plan to be going in a couple of months. Someone reached out to me and told me you'd call my name when the space had started. I'm here grading papers. I don't know what was said, but there were a couple of things that it was suggested that I address. And I see this article, Pan-African Village. I've never heard of Pan-African Village. I do know a place called One Africa, which has been around for decades. In fact, Dr. Leonard Jeffries and James Smalls own a guest house in One Africa. And it's a place where many expatriates live. A lot of African Americans and people from from the diaspora. If you may remember, they had a big ceremony during year of return when Rita Marley got her citizenship with 100 and some other other expatriates. One Africa is where all of largely African Americans. So again, I've never heard of Pan-African Village. So I'm not saying the story's not true.
The article comes from NPR, and it's up in the actual Jumbotron. If you want to get a chance to read it as well.
I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. But again, like I said, I only know of One Africa, which is where a lot of expatriates who have retired and they've been living there for decades. And James Smalls and Leonard Jeffries have a guest house there. The other thing, I don't know what was said, but it was suggested that I share some information. Someone reportedly said that Meek Mill had been attacked while he was in Ghana. And I will find the story and I will post it. Meek Mill's cell phone was stolen, as it could have been stolen anywhere. And once it was determined whose phone it was, that phone was returned to him. Meek Mill was well received when he was in Ghana. And I'll find the story. I don't know what was said, but it was reported that someone said that he had been attacked. His cell phone was stolen. Like his cell phone could be stolen anywhere. And that cell phone was returned to him. So those are the two things that I wanted to address. I don't know what has been said, but I will hang out here and continue to listen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Fahima, for coming up. Let me give a shout out real quick to Chosen 619. Chosen 619 left a message on YouTube. It says, it is a disservice to our ancestors to mix us back with the people who sold them into slavery. Okay. Thank you, Chosen 619. Thank you for the contribution as well, too. Let me go ahead and get to Apia. Now, Apia, this actual article talks about this actual village in Ghana. So, Apia, I don't know if you were actually in here. You got a chance to actually to read the actual article or hear the actual article being read. But What's your I don't know how much you actually know about the story as well, too, Apia, but what's your opinion about this situation going on?
Well, thank you. First of all, I think that the headline is very misleading, and I've read this story. I think a couple of weeks or months ago, and it has to do with the fact that I think the chief did not go through the traditional processes very well by, consulting the other, members of the village, something to that effect. And so they're like, yo, this is a land that we've, farmed on it for whatever, since generation, whatever. Therefore, if you want to pass it on, at least you should have gone through certain formalities so we know and see what the alternatives are. But it appears that the consultations was not wider enough, and therefore people have apprehension. My last time I checked, this issue has been resolved, and it is nothing that it is a major issue. It was just some folks that felt that they were not consulted, and so they felt some type of way, which is natural, right? This is a line that I've been using all this time. You want to give it up as a chief consultant and let me know what's next. But if you take it away and all I hear is rumors, then I will have some apprehension. That's what it's all about. Now, I want to address a couple of
now, real quick, Apia, real quick before you go forward, because I know you were saying that that they hadn't been consulted. That's true, they hadn't been consulted, but they were also saying that they had not been compensated for the land as well.
Yes, but that's what it means. So if you had consulted them, if you had done wider consultations, you would have provided an alternate for their livelihood. And so that is the reason why they were upset. If you take away somebody's livelihood, irrespective of who you are, they will raise concerns. But the good thing is that the leader, i.e. the chief, right, understood what it meant for the country and the continent and went ahead and did what was appropriate. So it's not that they're under threat, they've been attacked, or none of that. It's just that people have raised concerns at the local assembly. And that's the reason why I think somebody even took it to court. And I know they've already quashed this case a long time ago. So I'm just saying that the headline is misleading, and the fact does not suggest how it's been put in here.
Okay, so real quick about that. You said the headline was misleading, but other headlines saying that it was actual bitterness that was formed because of the way the situation was handled there. So, there are a number of articles online saying that that the actual natives over there, the native population, had, there was a bitterness that was formed because of the way that this whole situation was played out as well too. So I know you keep saying that the headline is misleading, but there are quite a few headlines on the actual on Google and everything else saying bitterness, tension, and everything else.
Bro, first of all, their anger is towards their leaders and not even the Black Americans. It's towards their leaders for making those decisions without their involvements. That's where their first anger comes from. And two, I know the propaganda that the West play every time there has to be any form of unity within Black nations. I know how to play, how to put messages out, and so on and so forth. So I am way advanced in some of these things. Okay, that's why I say I can see through them. The moment this happened, we were expecting even worse than what we see in the media, but for some reason they couldn't do it. So I'm not moved by these things. But what I'm saying is their anger is not towards the Black Americans, it's towards the chief who did not do the wider consultation. So you can read it one more time and you hear where they're coming from. They have no anger towards Black Americans, it's towards their chief. Moving on, I heard the issue with, Meek Mill. When Meek Mill got to Ghana, I think you know that he had the opportunity to meet the president of Ghana together with some of his executives. It was not even planned. The president's daughter, realizing that Meek Mill was in town for a couple of shows, whatever, and she was in charge of Ghana tourism, blah, 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 so they connected. And from that part, she said, I want you to meet the president and have some conversation. In less than 24 hours, the president of Ghana granted that audience. And Meek Mill had a frantic conversation with the president, etc. You can't even get from your president. Something that here, it takes a lot for the president of Ghana to acknowledge that, one of us is here and wants to have some conversation. And watch, every time that Black Americans want to meet the leadership of Ghana, it is one of the easiest things to do. It's always at the presidency. So if some of you guys will not respect and appreciate the welcoming environment that Ghana and the continent provide for Black Americans, the least you want to do is to castigate it. Okay? And I've been on this out for a second to know how people have ill intentions. I just want to wish Africa destroyed to a point that you listen to this gentleman right here. What's the saying? Black, whatever that the name is, majority. I mean, intellectually dishonest, intellectually weak. You know, struggling so hard to paint a narrative that is totally false. Academically, you're so poor in the head. What else were you talking about? You said what? Sub-Saharan Africa is doing what? You know the number of academicians that they turn out every year from Sub-Saharan Africa? Nigeria topped the whole Black world in terms of education, literacy. How dare you? Do you know the level of development going on the continent? Do you know the amount of money that is trickling in that space? And you wish, I'm using the word you wish because it's a wishful thinking that you have, that you want to see Africa destroyed, blah, 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 so you can be relevant. Sir, first of all,
He doesn't want to see Africa destroyed. Come on, man.
I mean, yes. I mean, you can hear when folks are talking with him.
No, he doesn't want to see Africa destroyed.
Can you imagine me speaking to them on Black Americans? Can you fathom the fact that I will come out here and spew garbage, propaganda, just to create negative narrative about other Black folks?
Check them tethers on YouTube.
Okay.
Son.
What you need to do is read, understand, expand your knowledge before you can discuss it. These are basic tendencies of any academician. So if you don't have that credential, sir, don't come out here and say that they have access. Yes, water is a problem. Even in the United States, you have water problems. Even in the United States here, you have contaminated water here. Unlike folks that are getting water through wells and other form of drainage. They are surrounded by water bodies. Okay? And your understanding of somebody, let's say, if you spend $10 a day here, it doesn't mean that the person in Ghana needs to spend the same $10 to survive. What is $5 here might be 20 cents in Ghana. You're in a capitalist environment. So get your analysis right before you come out here and start saying negative about Africa. Africa is coming up with the speed of light. And you have to deal with it. You just have to deal with it. It would take a lot to stop Africa at this point. All right? That's why you see a lot of white folks having partnership with Africans, setting up businesses, doing all type of things. Because they want to be part and parcel of the success story. And my dream and my wish is to find more Black Americans, okay, taking the lead than having white folks on the continent. But if folks like you would not see the vision, the purpose, and be more futuristic, sir, sit here and wallow in your abject ignorance. Thank you.
Oh boy! Hold on, wait! Hold on, Fahima, hold on. Wait! Hold on, sweetie, hold on, because Black Majority State, he was actually addressing that to him, and I don't know if Black is able to actually speak because he's at work right now. But Black, are you there? Did you hear any of that?
Yeah, I barely, I didn't hear most of it because I can't understand the way that they speak. It's really hard for me to understand it. But let me say this. I put down in the purple pill the video of Meek Mill coming through the crowd where they are grabbing at him. They quoted he's being attacked. They quoted he was in a fight. You can see him pulling away from people. You can see his security guard trying to push people off of him. And they say that is the moment where his phone was stolen because they're grabbing on him, going into his pockets, essentially. And then you see him climb up over a tent to kind of get away from the crowd. And then a little later in the video, he's in his Range Rover, and he actually does wave the Ghanaian flag and then kind of drives off. And then there are posts where he said, because I kind of looked into the story when it was happening, he said he wants to go back. But here's the other part, the part about the Jubilee House, the president's mansion. So the Ghanaians thought he was being very disrespectful by shooting a rap video in this sacred place. This was like a huge fucking deal over in Ghana or Ghanea. And they made it into this huge thing. He had to apologize. They actually forced him to apologize about shooting this video at this presidential palace or whatever the case may be. That goes in direct contrast to the bull s that we just heard from two what do you call them? I don't know. African lovers, panties, whatever you want to call them, who have this over-romanticization of what Africa is, and they blot out all of the negative things that they do over there and what happens over there, and it's all roses, but the reality is very, very different. And this was a story that I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to. I'm not a Mick Mills fan, but every time I see it on the timeline, I'm just like, oh, this is interesting, because I would assume he's a wealthy Black American who they could look up to and idolize versus the average Black American who doesn't have wealth or fame. What would the treatment and the reception be? And so I do like to contrast those two things. The reality is what the reality is. You can push your people through education, and that's great, and I hope it works out for you. But the reality of the demographics that are coming and that are present and that are here and now, and all the civil wars and all the conflicts that are continuous, that never stop, that's never going to change. I'm just pointing out the evidence. So don't be mad at me. Don't take your anger out on me, because I've never been to the continent. I would never go to the continent unless I was going there to discuss trade arrangements and to extract resources from the areas where in which Black Americans need to get those resources. And I'll just end with that.
All right.
Let me address.
Hold on, Apia, because he was just addressing what you said. So I'm gonna go ahead. Let me get the trouble, and then I'll go ahead and I'll get back to you. But real quick, I got a super chat, a couple super chats from Chosen 619. He says, and this is dedicated. He said, if only other Africans like him had this much energy into fixing their broken land. He also says this. He says, forever recruiting us to fix your broken continent. So those were super chats, and I had to go ahead and read them. But I'm gonna get back to you up here. I'm gonna get back to you.
45 seconds, I promise. 45 seconds.
45 seconds, then go ahead.
Yes, 45. The reason why Ghanaians were upset was because it was a disrespect to the seat of government. It was not part of the protocol. It was a national security threat. That place was not a place that's supposed to be open to the public to go and do the extras. That's the reason why they were upset. Thank you.
Okay, and real quick, I want to read this part real quick, because I know you're saying that they were mad with the chief and this and that, but it says in that article, it says a lot of local people that we've spoken to feel like the diaspora have an advantage over them when they come here because they have foreign currency. They have access to land that they don't have access to. So that was just from the actual article. The NPR was actually saying as well too. And just so we understand, they're not talking about simply Black Americans. You had in the article, there were a couple people that are actually Jamaicans that actually went over to the actual. They didn't actually even in the article didn't mention Black Americans. They mentioned two Jamaicans up in the actual article as well too. So just to go ahead and say that. I know they were pissed with the actual chief, but it seemed like they had an issue as well with the actual with some of the actual diaspora coming over there because of diaspora. And then we're also in the article, it talks about the actual natives said that they came to the actual diasporans, they had guns and stuff like that. So, I don't know exactly. You said this has been resolved or whatever. This article came out like December 23rd. I was going to touch it up, but I just didn't have a chance because I had been tweeted out the actual article. I had been actually tweeted it out, but I just didn't get a chance to actually do a broadcast or a space on it. And I was going to add it with some other topics, but I just kind of put it off. But it seemed like they have an issue over there. Now, like I say, I'm not over there, so I don't know, but it seems like there is an issue going on over there where they're not exactly on the best of terms, the actual native population and the actual diasporas that actually came over there. But, let me go ahead and get the Trouble, and then we'll go ahead and move it back around. But Trouble, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter. Shout out to everybody in the room. Hope everybody is doing well. So Pan-African Diaspora village in Ghana creates tension with citizens, and yeah, that sounds like it's on point. You couldn't pay me to move to Africa. You couldn't pay me lottery money to move to Africa. And not because I think it's well, yeah, I do think it's a bad country at this point in time. You know, Africans are not getting along with other Africans. Every time you turn on the news or read an article or listen to other Africans, they're constantly talking about the infighting and wars from one spot to another. There was a video online earlier today where they had stoned and beat one of their own kind or whatever, because they said he was a Rwandan, he was a Tutsi or whatever. I thought that was all over and all through. I thought they were through with that genocide right there. But they beat this brother down and then turned around and cooked him and ate him on camera, bragging about it. So you're talking about multiple villages and places in Africa, and I know that Africa is a continent. But when you have multiple areas in there that are still with this type of mindset, still with this type of brutal savagery, where just because someone comes from a different country in Africa, that this is how you would treat this person, this is how you would do it solely based on that. That's reason enough for us Black Americans not to want to go there. We deal with enough foolishness over here. And the conversation is really getting old with the Pan-Africans trying to sway Black Americans to move there. And then when we have these spaces, they love to come on and say a whole bunch of disingenuous BS about, oh, well, it's the Western media and, you know, don't believe the lying Western media. No, baby. I lived in Boston and Massachusetts for a long time. And I lived in Dorchester, and I lived in Brockton and in Cambridge, and I worked in West Roxbury and in Roxbury and different parts of Massachusetts, where there is a state full of Africans and people from that continent and other parts of the world. And they all say the same thing when it comes to the savagery. I know that you've seen the video with the white man from Europe floating around talking about how, you know, they might as well just go ahead and finish colonizing Africa and blah, 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 because their leaders aren't worth a daggone, and they take money, they take the bag for the trinkets. So you want us to move under those type of conditions. It's easy to say, okay, well, if you go to this particular city or country in Africa, it's booming. It's doing these wonderful things, and I have no doubt that it is, because I've seen a lot of beautiful places in Africa that look like it's thriving. I have no doubt. But for how long? For how long before the next nation of Africans right next door decides that they are jealous of those Africans making it and decide to invade? How long before the president of that country or the chiefs or whomever to decide to take the bag from the Western powers and allow a coup to come in before it's not as nice as it was, because white people see it, they want it, they love it, it's nice, I want it, it's ours. How long? And this is where you all trying to segue us, and then you be lying half the time. Now, you could say, well, the people wasn't upset with the actual Americans or Jamaicans or whomever that came there to get the 123 acres of land. They was upset with the chief. And so the Western media is lying. They're trying to cause division. But baby, let me tell you something about common sense. Common sense tells me that even if you're mad at your leadership, you're still seething at the people who came to take the land, because goddamn it, who wouldn't? I know I would. I'm used to building. I'm used to having my this is how I eat. This is my livelihood. You took my livelihood away from me, the way that we're able to eat and farm and do all of these wonderful things, to give it to people who've never been on this land before, who didn't have their sweat, their blood, their tears on this land before, and you just cavalierly give it away. You can say, well, he did what was best for the nation and for the country and for the blah, blah, blah. But was it good for his own people? And you just want to look over that because it's the mindset that you all have. And it's a terrible mindset. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. But we are not dumb. We are looking at this, and we know how the Western media is. We know what propaganda looks like. We know what it looks like. So we can discern. We could weed through what they say and figure out what's real and what's fake, what was added on. But common sense tells us a whole lot. What's understood don't need to be said. So when you come on here and you're talking to us, talk to us like we got a little bit of sense, okay? And if it's so great, so grand, then go home. Stop trying to get us to go back home, but instead get your people who left their home to come here to do the education and to get the this and the that. Now that they've got their education, now that they can greater contribute to their homeland, how about you all start trying to get your people to go back home with all of this education and all of this knowledge that they've been able to amass here on American soil, get them to go back home, because those are the people who need to go back to Africa and rebuild Africa up. Not us. We're here fighting on our soil where our ancestors are from. We have our own issues with our own people even to contend with. We don't need to go to somebody else's continent and to have to deal with you all's mindset, because see, y'all still love massa. Y'all will still sell your own people out to massa. So how quickly would you sell us out to massa for some trinkets, for a biscuit, for a dry one at that? Not even one that's been buttered up real good, but a dry one. So please, stop with the dishonesty. And the one thing that and I'm going to say this, and I'm a land, because y'all know I'm on with it like a mug. But at least when you're talking about the move to Africa, the coming together, and I have no problem with that. But what I have a problem with is when you're dishonest about the goings on over in Africa, where you're trying to, you love to segue and say, well, what about what you got going over here in America? Your land is contaminated, and I thought it was, contaminated, but you said contaminated to me, but whatever. But at least be honest about it.
Spell contaminated.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, be honest about it. And I can appreciate honesty. I can't appreciate dishonesty. So if you would lie, if you would do what the white man does and try to flip the situation and flip the story and do it the whataboutism, I know you're being dishonest. There's nothing honest about you. If you can't say, yes, Africa is having a problem with the water, there's going to be some water wars over there pretty soon, then why would I trust and believe anything else that you said? Because what you're trying to bypass what we already know is going on, because your own leaders have said that, and then turn around and say, well, what about the water over here in America? We ain't talking about America. We ain't trying to get nobody to come to America. We ain't trying to get y'all to come. We're trying to get you to go home. But at least if you gonna stay, get right, get some act right, and start telling the truth and stop being dishonest with the lies. And I'll land right there.
All right. Thank you, Trouble. Thank you. Fahim, I know you was having some issues up here. Are you back? Are you able to speak? What?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I know you was up here and you disconnected. So I'm trying to.
Yes. Yeah, I'm between devices. So just two things that I wanted to say, and I wanted to address the Papaya. I don't know if he's still there.
He dropped down, but he's here.
Okay. Well, the first thing I wanted to share is I'm not going to go back and forth with the situation that happened with Meek Mill. I posted in the timeline Meek Mill's account in his own words that transpired. And what took place with him was no different from what happened to Michael Jackson, a superstar, where people are going berserk and crazy over a superstar. And while this was happening, someone decided to steal his cell phone. That person was apprehended and prosecuted. I'm not going to take the time to put all of that in there, but I did put Meek Mill's account of what happened to him. He was not being assaulted. He was being mauled just like all celebrities, like the superstardom that Michael Jackson encountered. That's the last thing. And then I just want to say to Apaya, if he's not aware of ADDI, the African Diaspora Development Institute, founded by Dr. Arikana Chiambori-Kwa, he may already be aware of it. She was the outgoing ambassador to the African UN, to the African Union, and we meet every month, and we meet every week, and we're doing things with people on the continent, people in the diaspora. There's like several hundred of us each and every month that meet. I will send you the information about that so you can meet with like-minded people that are productive and are interested in our people moving forward. And I will land there.
All right. Thank you, Fahima. Thank you, family. We got a number of you guys up in here. We do need your support, though. For those that can donate at least $1 on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. If you don't have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. And we also, for those on YouTube, we have the actual Venmo and PayPal up in the description. The Cash App is on the screen, guys. We definitely need your support. If it's just $1 that you can donate to a platform, it is greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead and get to Black Pressure. Black Pressure, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, sorry about that. What's up, Black family?
What's up, Pressure?
What's up, man?
What's up?
Man, trying to sneak in a meal after the gym, but so like DJ said, I pretty much agree with everybody in the room tonight, even though they, coming from different points of vantage. Pretty much agree, but I'll say two quick things, and I'm gonna mute up and listen. Like when the brother said that celebrities can come to Ghana and actually meet with the president of that country. The only thing, if any celebrity, I say Black American celebrity, goes to visit Ghana and they have the opportunity to meet with the Ghanaian president, only one question should be answered. And this is not anything that was first conceived by me. Khalid Muhammad said this probably 25 years ago, or more. Just like we're fighting to get the United States to write us to cut that check for the transatlantic slave trade. I'm looking at the Ghanaian president, right in his face, same thing. Say, bro, we need you to cut that check for the slave trade. We ain't forgot about you either. Yeah, you ain't the white folks, but we ain't forgot about you. In fact, you started this shit. Excuse my note. I know this Newstoter, so I can't say that. You started this. I need you to open up that checkbook. I need you to cut that check for the transatlantic slave trade. Moving on to my next point. I'm going to read something real quick from a very influential white man that is in the Eastern Hemisphere. And this is a person who has an astronomical vested economic interest in the continent of Africa. And this news just give me, I know I might be able to read this in 20 or 30 seconds, and I'm going to mute up and listen, right? So this was a speech from Vladimir Putin, right? And this was his opinion on the continent of Africa, right? And like I said, I'm going to read this and I'm going to mute up and listen. So, and I quote, right? When an African entrepreneur becomes rich, he will send his money and gold to Switzerland. He is going to France for medical treatment. The alleged quote reads, right? He invested in Germany. He's buying houses in Dubai. He's consumed Chinese products, praying in Rome and Mecca. Their children are studying in Europe and China, and they will take Western nationalities. And they will take all Western nationalities. They travel to Canada and U.S. and all over Europe for tourism. If he dies, he will be buried in his home country that he did not care for, end quote. And I'll mute up and listen.
All right. Thank you, Pressure. Let me read a comment real quick. Let me give a shout out for the super sticker. Easy, EHZX. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see we got a comment from Girl Bye. She says, I moved to Africa over 5 years ago and I love it. I'm at peace. No one is forcing any of you. Africa isn't for everyone. So and she thinks she left another say, living in Africa for over 5 years. I'm never leaving. So that's Girl Bye. Girl Bye, shout out to you. And you know, if it works out for you, definitely good thing. I see Girl Bye's profile too. I mean, she's pretty nice looking female as well too. So let me give you a shout out on that, Girl Bye. I don't know if it's a catfish, that's your real profile, but I'm gonna give you a shout out on your profile. You on the cute side. I'll go ahead and say that much. We get to my man Original. Go ahead and unmute your mic. Yeah, check out her profile, y'all. She's a cutie. But go ahead, Original. You got it.
Yeah, I just want to say to Fahima, that was me that brought up Meek Mill, and I noticed that you mentioned this One Africa with Sister Imaka. As I've said before, I used to be all up into the Pan-African movement until I started to see how some of them, what their thoughts were regarding Black Americans. Now, I will say this. I remember hearing Sister Imaka on a platform, a Pan-African platform here in America, and whereby, because there are a number of issues over there. So there was a local Ghanaian man that came to Sister Imaka years ago, and he said that he needed some dancers, some African dancers. So he asked her to assist him, and she said, "Well, what about the local girls?" And he said, "They're gone, because quite a number of them, they have bought into the European mindset, and they are acting worse than the European." And that is true, and that came out of the mouth of Sister Imaka and One Africa. So I know about One Africa and all of that, and yes, and to a pile. There are some positive things that are going on in Africa, but right now I don't see myself going there. There's a website that people can go to, and it's called How We Made It in Africa. There are foreigners as well as some Africans that are doing well in Africa. So it's not like people are just making things up just to say something. You know, people are going by what they are researching online, and they're trying to verify to the best of their ability. Because I remember years ago, there was this guy, I forget which country in Africa he was from, but he was working in Germany or somewhere, and he was bragging about being the only African in that area of Germany, making sure all these white people stay healthy. So that brain drain is real, whereby you get because of how some of these leaders have conducted themselves, regarding the conditions in Africa, and the locals are suffering. And so those that can get out, they get out, and they don't look to come back. Because there was an article, it was from a paper in Canada, where they had interviewed quite a number of Nigerians, and they said it was like over 90% of the Nigerians who had immigrated to Canada said they would never go back to Nigeria. And there are reasons why, when some of these people leave, they don't want to go back. And so I just want to say that, because there seems to be this they want to blame Black Americans for all this stuff, but no, this is not, we didn't create this, and we had nothing to do with it. But there seems to be this degenerate European mindset that quite a number of these Africans have, and they use it towards Black Americans and other in the diaspora. So I just want to say that, especially the part about, yes, I know Dr. Jeffries and James Small, Professor James Small, they have a place over there, and with their they're part of that One Africa. I know all about that, but at the same time, there are a number of the locals that are still there, but they mentally they are no longer there. And I'll end with that.
All right, thank you. Hold on, real quick, Fahima, because you're next. I'm gonna get to you, but hold on, I got to read a comment. So hold on, sweetie. Love my folks said the American obsession with sub-Saharan is very fascinating, seeing that less than 3% of the enslaved Africans came to North America. Less than that survived. Pan-Africanism is a disease of the mind. This is Love My Folks, one of our people over there on YouTube who left that comment. Now, Fahima, go ahead and unmute your mic. And guys, we still try. Hold on, and guys, we still trying to get that $1 donation here on the Cash App as well too. So I'm gonna keep drumming that horn as well too. But go ahead, Fahima.
Before I speak to Original Blood, I just want to say I have donated. You just didn't recognize because it's not in Fahim, but I have donated to the cause.
Okay, I appreciate that, sister.
And I'm going to remain incognito.
That's fine.
You're a lot more objective than some other folks, but I wanted to say, Original Blood, the show you're talking about is the Carl Nelson show. You don't call his show anymore, but I remember you used to call the Carl Nelson show, and I remember hearing your voice. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct. And the reason that I don't call Carl Nelson show any longer, Carl Nelson was interviewing, what's that guy name with the book, Addicted to White, whereby that guy, I forget what his name is, he had made a statement that when Stacey Abrams was running for the governor of Georgia in 2018, he made a statement that those of us who were not going to vote for Stacey Abrams, that we were addicted to white. And I called in to make a comment on that, and Carl Nelson, they hung up on me. I called back, they continued to hang up on me, so I moved on because I'm not going to let anyone disrespect me just because they're trying to protect someone. Because see, here's the issue: people like I can't think of that boy's name.
Jerome Fox.
Jerome Fox. Okay. See, Jerome don't live in Atlanta. He don't know the politics in Atlanta. See, I was going to let them know how Stacey Abrams, how she wouldn't show up when the black people put on a candidate for him. And the white lady that she was running against showed up and listened to the black folks. Stacey didn't. But see, Stacey, she invited the gay white community into her campaign headquarters and bragged to them about what she had done for them and what she would do if she was elected. So again, when you don't live in these areas, but you're going to tell the black people that live there that if they're not going to support a stupid fool that's not going to do anything for them, then you need to be corrected. And so since they hung up on me, so I haven't listened to Carl Nelson since then. I haven't listened to Carl Nelson since October of 2018. And
I remember your voice. That
was my voice. And I'm cool with not listening to Carl Nelson because he's not the only person out there. I got Newstoter right here, and this is, to me, this is just as good, if not better, than Carl Nelson.
Well, if I might say, I don't agree with Jerome Fox either. I think he has a very narrow perspective, and he makes generalizations. And I don't think it's appropriate to make a generalization. I don't want to disparage him, but he went to Cornell University. He didn't go to HBCU, so is he addicted to white? And I would just leave it at that. There's a lot more that I could say, but I'm a fan of his because he makes generalizations about people. You can say some people. I don't like generalization because there are no absolutes. But I did when you referenced once before about quote unquote calling it Pan African. Actually, his show is not Pan African. His show is narrow nationalists, and there's a lot of things that go on discussions that they have that I completely disagree with because they make broad and sweeping generalizations, and a lot of things are backwards in my view. But I'll just leave it at that.
Alrighty. I think Apia was up here, but he must have dropped now. Let me get to Black Pressure and DJ. Hold it down for me for 1 second, all right? Is DJ there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's just the Twitter, bro. Just go ahead.
Okay. You got it, Pressure?
No, I just it must have been an accident. I didn't want to speak.
Hey, Rando, we might let you up tonight, depending on how the rest of the room go tonight. Give it a minute, wait for Newstoter to come back. This is not my room. So with that being said, I just go on to get in and say what I'm going to say real quick. So yeah, Pierre, all that issue said about my brother Black Majority, that is trash, bro. Take that jump back to wherever country you fled from, man. He got the brain power of 1 million Africans. You know what I'm saying? So let's get this stuff straight for a moment, man. So don't ever disrespect, because ain't nobody disrespecting y'all by having an opinion on your continent/country. You know what I mean? Now, with that being said, Trouble Don't Flame you already too. Shout out to Sister, you in trouble. So, hey, look, only Eminem gang is getting paid. I've been telling y'all for the last 2 years. Hey, we don't have a problem with Africans, but we are against those thugs. Who are the thugs? AKA the tellers that be fleeing their country and never, ever going back. Never going back. So we just had that conversation the other day when Stephanie was bringing up the school situation. Most of these folks never go back to their country knowing they're supposed to leave after they finish school. They do everything here in America to try to actually stay here in America, because once they finish their college or whatever schooling they came over here for, you have to leave the next day by law. They don't. So you got Africans over here in America that got bachelor's degrees, medical degrees, and we're talking just one person. You know what I'm saying? Got all types of training certificates. They stay here, and they never return. So when y'all be saying Africans this, that, and the third, hey, man, look, we're not against anything that's going on African. We're not even saying Africa is the slum hole for the most part. But at the end of the day, why is it that Africans that are here in America that came over here to learn, live for a minute, get whatever culture they needed to get, why y'all never go back? So that's really the real argument, you know what I'm saying? Not so much what you saying, Pierre, that, hey, well, we got class and all this other stuff. No, it ain't about that. What about all this tribalism that going on over there, bro? Africans killing Africans. You see what I'm saying? What about what y'all, them Africans did to that sister Deborah over there, all because she said she didn't want to talk about Allah in the school chat forum? A bunch of men, grown-ass men, went to a woman's dorm, dragged her out, beat her, and stoned her to death and lit her body on fire. So why is it that anyone from over here, America, aka Babylon, wants to go to purgatory, yo? That don't make no sense, yo. It don't make to me at all. But with that being said, shout out to the room, Newstoter, NEWSTOTER. Share the room out, y'all. Follow Newstoter on all social platforms, YouTube, social, Twitter, Instagram, all that other good stuff. And share the room out. Make sure y'all hit the Cash App up. What's good, Black Majority?
Yeah.
Check your DMs, DJ.
Real quick. I just got back, but I saw the dude Rando lurking around. DJ, did he leave the room?
He might be in here somewhere creeping. You know what I'm saying?
No, okay. Rando, he is stalking us now. He's like our he's the white supremacist that wants to come around us and say all kind of dumb stuff. So he's stalking us.
I really think
There's
that's Volvo.
no Volvo. I don't think so. Black Majority States, you got it. Go ahead, unmute your mic.
Okay, that was funny. Okay, so I pulled up a United Nations, UN.org report. There's a bunch of, what do they call them, reference points, and there's not a date at the top, but basically 2003 was the most recent citation that they put in this article. And so it's just really quick, I'm going to read it. So there are several factors that have been identified as constraints on food production in Africa. These include land degradation, mismanagement of available water resources, pests and diseases, inappropriate food production and storage practices, inadequate food processing technologies, civil conflicts and wars, poor economic policies to support food production, as well as the low economic and social status of women, who constitute the majority of food producers. These factors have resulted in a steadily declining food security, which in turn has led to a doubling of those unnourished in Africa, from 100 million in the 1960s to 200 million in 1995. And when I was on other websites looking at that food insecurity, hunger, it's almost up to 300 million at this point in today's time. It is projected that the region will be unable to feed 60% of its population by 2025. Again, I'm thinking this is like from 2003. They put these projections in here. And so this is why, if we, because I use projections a lot, and they're very, very close. They might be off by a million here, a million there, but they're very close. The African population, estimated at 118 million at the turn of the century, had risen to 788 million in 1997. By 2025, is projected to be at 1.5 billion. And if you go and look up what the population of Africa is now, is just under 1.5 billion. These projections, whatever people think about them, they're very, very close to what they believe it's going to be. The fast increase is not as much a problem as the failure of the region's economic growth to match population growth. They talk about how people are essentially moving from the rural areas, the countryside, into the cities, but the cities don't have the infrastructure. It's something like 40% of the cities have sewage and sanitation. Most of the countryside does not have sewage and sanitation. It's just a very bad situation that is only precipitatingly going to get worse because you have this huge explosion of population. And then the smart ones, let's be honest, the brain drain that is happening is that they're leaving. They're going to Europe. They're coming to America. They're going to China. They're going everywhere they can go to get opportunities, to get jobs, whatever the case may be. And that's why when Americans are saying, well, you should go back there and rebuild there, is because this is just like, we're not being derogatory. We're not being offensive. We're simply telling you, if the smartest people continue to leave and leave the people there that are not as smart and cannot actually mentally figure out solutions to the problems, you're essentially abandoning your own people and leaving them to deal with this problem that is increasingly just going to get worse and worse. And God forbid they introduce some genetically modified virus, plant, insect, whatever it is they do. Bill Gates is throwing 30 million mosquitoes up into the sky damn every week. It doesn't look good. And if you love Africa, God bless you, you should go there. You should figure out a way to help the people that are there so that they're not in this situation 50, 100 years from now. I support the people who want to go there. I just don't like people who attempt to tell Black Americans that we can't love Black America and only Black America in the way that we need to, so that we can heal ourselves and get in a position where we can protect, defend, and have authority over our own lives, and then start looking at, okay, now that we're good and we're secure, who can we help? Who can we afford to help that's going to appreciate the help and in a mutually beneficial way, reciprocate the help that we give to them, because we're just no longer wanting to be the only person that's helping other people, and then they never do anything to help us. And I'll land on that.
Thank you, Black.
Just like Vladimir Putin said, exactly what Black majority just said.
Thank you, Black. I'm gonna say this right here because I know, to me, like I know you got people that's going over there to live and try to build and stuff like that. You know, personally, I don't have an issue with that. If somebody thinks that's a calling for them and they want to go over there and they want to build and they want to live in Africa, you know, I say more power to them. You know, some of our people I think have gotten burnt out being over here, and they think that a change of scenery, and they think being in a place where more people that look like them will be beneficial. If that's what they feel, you know. I'm not somebody to try to hold somebody back from doing something that they want to do. So if that's what you want to do, hey, you know, research it and you know, that's your thing. Me personally, my family, you know, built this country up, and for all of the things about this country that, you know, really the treatment of Black people, you just really can't put into words. You know, I'm going to stick it out and I'm going to fight or whatever, because that's what my family's been doing from the time, you know, that I've known about my family. So, you know, I'm going to continue to go ahead and do that. But, you know, if people want to go over there and live and stuff, and I know a lot of our people even want to do it in terms of business, that they're looking to go ahead and try to diversify, and they want to connect, and, you know, they want to do something global and whatnot. Hey, you know, more power to them. I would say that you definitely need to go ahead and investigate this thing thoroughly before you move. You need to see about the land and everything else before you start investing your money. It's hard enough to invest your money in this country and not get ripped off. You know, people, we see all the scams and everything that takes place right here in America. People get scammed and get ripped off. I mean, every single solitary day. So you go into a foreign nation, you know, and not knowing anything about it, there's 50 some odd countries over there in Africa, and, you know, people look at you too as a foreigner. They look at you as somebody that doesn't know this or doesn't know that. I would say you definitely better go ahead and get you some kind of team assembled as well too. Whether it's a lawyer or whoever, you know, and you need to go ahead and do your homework on that. If you're seriously talking about putting your hard-earned dollars into a foreign nation that you know nothing about, you definitely better go ahead and do your homework. I see what was it, dude? The rando. This dude's still trying to come up here, DJ. If I see him, where's he at? Where's he at? Because he was popping a lot of noise. If I see him, I'm gonna bring his white ass right up in here, because he was talking about everybody was niggas and whatnot before. So I see him hanging around the space. So next time you see him, bring him up here. You know, this trailer trash, bring him right up in here. He was popping a lot of noise last time after he left the space.
Called us niggas because we Christian, because he a Christian, remember?
Yeah, and talking about how Black people are racist, and so please if you see him, bring him up here. But Trouble, let me read something. Let me read something real quick. Chosen says Pan-Africans want us to run into a burning building. Love my folks. I guess when I say people want to go to some place where they look like, you know, where they may look like, you said we don't look like them. Cola said some of the self-hate is crazy, whether we like it or not. We descend from Africans. Love my folks said it's never going to work because the Africans don't want us there. They want the Europeans and Chinese there because their military will protect their interests. Thus, the Africans will be protected. So, you know, a number of different opinions over there on YouTube as well, too. Everybody feels one way, feels another way. Let me go ahead and get back. And let me give a shout out to DLW and Junis for their contributions on Cash App. Thank you guys for supporting the platform. Let me go ahead and get to my girl, Trouble. Trouble, go ahead and unmute your mic. You there, Trouble?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. You had called me.
Yeah, you got your hand up, so I thought you wanted to talk.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My son was in here talking. I just wanted to say that I don't want anybody to think that, you know, personally, I don't have a hatred for Africa. I think if to be honest with you, I think in the future, if not for their leaders, Africa has the potential to be one of the greatest nations on this planet. The continent has all of the resources necessary for survival, and if not for the continent of Africa, a lot of other countries wouldn't even be able to eat the way that they're eating now. These other countries are eating and living deliciously off of the fruits of Africa because of her resources, because they have went in and taken her resources to bring to their lands, and so they're able to live good off of that. It's the leadership over there, just like the white man on the video said. That's the one thing he didn't lie about, is the fact that their leadership over there is still have that mindset of all about me and not about us. It's a individualistic mindset and not a collectivist mindset, where your leadership is going in there and making deals that is good for the nation rather than for their own self, their own singular family, their own pockets. But once they run them crackers and them yin yangs from over there, they have the potential to be the best nation on this planet. And I see a future for Africans in Africa in that sense. In that way, they just got to go through a rebirthing process that they're not yet seemingly ready for. At the same time, I wish people would get out of their feelings when us Black Americans say that we don't want to go to Africa. And like I said, and I stand 10 toes down on it, you couldn't pay me to move to Africa right now. You couldn't give me that $300 and some odd $1 million lottery that the Powerball got going on right now to move to Africa. You couldn't do it, because I'm looking at what's going on over there, and I'd rather deal with the demons I already know over here before I have to take on something new that way. People, be good with the fact that when somebody says they don't want to go someplace, they don't want to go there. How dare you be in your feelings because a person expresses that's not a place that they want to be. Hell, even Africans don't even want to be there, a lot of them. Not all of them, because the majority of them are still there. But I wonder if they had the opportunity to leave, if they probably would as well. It's just that the other ones was able to make a deal or have a little ching-ching where they was able to make that path forward to trek to other nations. I'm not mad at any other Black American that decides, hey, I love Africa. I think it's a beautiful place. I want to get some more of my people to try to make that move with me. Know what you're doing when you make that move, though. But again, it goes back to what I said before. Be honest about it. Stop lying about it. Stop romanticizing, because too many of you all that call yourself Pan-Africanists, you're romanticizing about this land that's very much so troubled. Trouble. It's troubled. I mean, and it's more trouble than all of these other lands. A lot of nations are troubled right now, and it's only going to get worse. But Black Majority made some excellent points when he was talking. It's amazing that the brother Apia, Pupu, decided to come after him and comfort him in the way that he did, because Black didn't say anything that was out of the way. He didn't say anything that was untruthful. But I noticed that a lot of you guys do not like the truth. You like the romanticized version of the truth. You like the watered down, let me pull the wool over your eyes so I can get you over there. And I wonder to a degree sometimes, because a lot of times we always think in terms of money, and I believe that money is first and foremost the motivating factor for getting us over there. But I also believe that another factor and motivation for getting us over there is the fact that whether folks want to admit it or not, we are the leading Blacks in the nation, and everybody looks at Black Americans a particular way. Just our whole presence and the things that we're able to get accomplished, our consciousness. We have a level of consciousness and discernment about us that can move things if it wasn't for certain demons and demonic powers always constantly standing in our way, trying to impede it and trying to simmer our light, you know. And I think a lot of times that is what they would love to have over there as well. They would love to have that type of consciousness, that type of movement. And maybe they feel if more of us over there, if the larger majority of us was over there, we could quell some of the things that is going over there and make it more better. But that's not going to happen. You're not going to kill us up trying to get us over there to make the changes that you all are not even really ready to make. Because if you was ready to make them changes, then you'd be digging in your chiefs and your leaders behinds. And I land right there.
Thank you, Trouble. I see Chris, he was over there between X and he's been on Twitter. He's saying that this is the most uninformed space that he's seen. Chris came up here a couple times. Chris, I know you came up here a couple times to speak. So, I mean, you can definitely come on up here and share your thoughts about exactly what you find to be misrepresented in the actual space as well, too. So, I mean, definitely, I know you came up here a couple times to speak and then you dropped now. So if you want to come up here and speak, by all means, come on up here. I'll let you go ahead and speak, and you know, I'm not going to interrupt you, anything like that. You can come up here and, you know, voice your opinion. That's what we have these spaces for. Voice your opinion. I'm not going to say anything. See the hard black truth is up here. What's going on? Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, how's it going, Newstoter? And shout out to the space.
What's up?
Well, I've heard some of the thoughts and opinions of some of the folks here. I do take a romanticized outlook on the continent of Africa, and I also exercise a sense of realism. We can talk about them not being ready, but I don't see it that way. I think the people there are coming together as they always have been, and unfortunately, they are like dead smack in the center of world powers that simply do not seek any type of partnership or even mutual respect with African people. So I praise them for the things that they are doing, and I support them in their fight. That doesn't mean that I am ready nor prepared to go overseas, have that fight with them, because I'm also dealing with my own stuff, as many of us are here in the States, and others in their prospective locations. But to sit here and talk down is what it seems like to me about people who are living their lives, dealing with their own internal struggles in their own prospective communities, tribes, whatever you may want to call it, while also having to deal with the international onslaught of people and nations that want their resources, that want their manpower, that want to dig in and take from that land. And they're having to navigate all of that. I praise them for being survivors, for sticking it through. And contrary to popular belief, many of those folks are proud of where they're from. They're proud of who they are, and they're not seeking to leave. The majority of them are there, and they will remain there for generations to come. So I encourage them to continue to be strong, to continue to be vigilant, to continue to persevere, and not lose heart, because we're at a moment in time where the rest of the world, from my perspective, seems to want to look down on them. And I want them to know, if anybody's out there that can hear my voice, I want you to know that I recognize, I see you. And I recognize as well that this isn't going to be something that changes overnight in the next 10, 20, 40 years even. It's going to be a long and hard struggle. But you keep going with what you got. You keep
going, you keep persevering, and eventually we're going to have strong nations. I wholeheartedly believe that because I see them now out there in Burkina Faso and all of these, and those leaders that you see in place, many of them already know that they're probably not going to be the ones to end whatever they got going on in those lands. And we know that too. That's the sad part about it. We already know that coups are in the works, being propagated. Other companies, agencies, countries, nations that just want to see the destabilization of those areas. They do not want to see a unified Africa. They do not want to see unified countries even. But I do have faith that we are going to get there. And I do say we. And that's just my thoughts. I appreciate the space.
All right. Thank you, Hard Black Truth. Real quick, super chat from Chosen 619 says, we didn't break Africa. Africans broke Africa. I see, y'all, we got our troll up here. He decided to keep hanging around. Rando, you was talking hella noise about us up in the that white supremacy blood, and you know it came oozing out the other night once you left the space or whatever, and you couldn't do what you wanted to. The trailer trash, and you really started the show, didn't it, boy?
Hey, hello everybody. How are y'all doing tonight? What's up, Newstoter?
What's up? Last time I saw you in the post, you was calling us niggas.
Yeah, I was I was definitely calling y'all niggas because that last time was disrespectful, but I want to get away from that.
Well, no, you don't have to get away from it because we all pretty much know what you are. So I mean, we knew you couldn't hide it. You got your cage rattled, and then you started making yourself a victim and talk about how you were being discriminated against and this and that or whatever. So what do you want? What do you want with a bunch of black people up in here? Don't you got some meth that you should be smoking, some opioids or something that you should be trying out or whatever? What do you want?
Well, that is a great argument.
Nah, mute your mic, man. Hey, look, say it. You know you want to say it. Say nigga again. Say it. I double date.
What do you want? What do you want, Peckerhead?
Ooh, I swear. Ooh, you lucky, yo. No,
I say, what do you want, Peckerhead? You know who I'm talking to. You're the only Peckerwood in here.
Yeah, I know I'm the only white guy in here, which it's sad to watch you guys just completely go against the white guy for zero.
Yeah, we know. The white guy that was up here calling us niggas. Now he's the victim. Right?
Yeah, well, you should have seen the amount of followers that I got from the last space I had. I refused to call Jews other than white people. You guys
make sure you hit the cash app since you eating off a Newstoter. Hit the cash app since you eating off a Newstoter.
Matter of fact, that's right. That's right.
I'll hit PayPal again. I'll pay y'all niggas one more time. I don't care.
Okay, well that's good. You be a good crack. You be a good cracker. And you go ahead. You be a good cracker, and you go ahead and pay. And then when you pay, then we may let you come back up in here. Okay. So
then you gotta go to the shadow realm, something, man. AKA Crackerville.
So
see you later, Cracker.
Get up out of here. Okay. You go ahead and pay. You be a good white boy, and then we may let you come back up in here. It's something about black people. I don't know. You got a fetish about hanging around black people. That says a lot about you, though. But anyways.
Hey, once you go black, you can't go back. They made that quote up.
Yeah, and just to get back to what the Hard Black Truth was saying, he felt that that a number of people in here were talking down about Africa. I wasn't talking down about Africa. I think that, there were some points raised about the actual current situation going on in Africa. Africa has a future ahead of it, but at the same time, Africa has a lot of different things that it has to get straightened out before you can actually really see where that future is headed at. It's great to have a young population. It's great to have resources. But I mean, unless you're actually controlling those resources and you're the one that's actually the manufacturing and everything else, it is what it is. So, like I said, I don't fault anybody that wants to go over there and wants to live over there and want to build over there. If that's what you want to do, if that's your thing, then by all means, go ahead and build and live or whatever. Like I say, I'm going to stay here because this is home for me. That's not to say I wouldn't mind visiting. I would like to visit a lot of different places, different continents, and everything else as well too. Because you only got one life, so I would like to go see parts of South America and Asia and parts of Africa, Europe because it's great to travel. So I don't besmirch anybody that wants to live overseas or try to build or whatever. If that's just thinking the case of the article that I read, and we touched up on the actual situation you see with the chief and the property and everything else, and how everything was so discombobulated that before you go ahead and you take your hard-earned money, do your research, get your team gathered up before you just go ahead and you started flushing money down the actual toilet as well too. And I'm sure the actual and then too, for me, no matter where you're at in this world, there seems to be a lot of political instability nowadays. So too, I think it just depends on the place you're at, to the country and everything else as well too. I personally don't want to live someplace where you may have to worry about a potential coup or anything like that. But that's not to say all African nations over there have that going on. So, to each is his own. I don't have an issue, anything. I see Brother Mikhail, he's up in the space. Brother Mikhail, I believe, is over there in Ethiopia, doing this thing or whatever. So shout out to Brother Mikhail. But, we got brothers and sisters that go back and forth between the continent, work and everything else, created businesses and stuff like that. They may live part of the year over there and they may come back. Some people, so there are a number of entrepreneurs doing their thing, on a global scale. So I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. But hey, like I say, at the same time, I'm not talking down to it. Like I say, I respect the people over there. And you got some hardworking people over there, man. You got some hardworking people doing everything they can as well to try to maintain and put food on their family's table and stuff like that. So I'm not knocking anybody for trying to do what they got to do over there, trying to maintain or whatever. But like I say, I just think that we need to be a little bit careful and before you start investing that money, because a lot of our people, they're burnt out living over here, and they want to go someplace else where they think, well, hey, racism's not going to be as heavy as it is here in America. But then we know no matter where you go out in this world, we know who's controlling it. No matter what continent, what country, what hemisphere you're on, somebody's controlling it. More than likely, it's going to be the hand of white supremacy that's still calling the shots. So
when he said that he's constantly hearing people talking down on the continent, I wanted to know what he meant by people are talking down on a continent, because people act like you cannot tell the truth of how you feel about something without people say, well, you talking down on those people. It's to me saying, or anyone else saying, well, this is what's going over there in this particular region or this particular land. It's not talking down on it. It's talking about what's happening over there. It's talking about what's actually going on. And one last thing, I would be glad, again, when people say about their feelings about that, because again, you can admit to having a romanticized feeling about it, but then you're still living in denial when you feel like somebody is putting something down that's when they're actually telling the truth about it. And at the same time, I've been inside of these different rooms where Africans from different nations are holding spaces, and I don't see none of you all inside of those spaces where they're talking about what's going on in Black American communities over here in the United States. They're telling their truth about what they see from what we have going on over here in our hoods. And if it's not the hoods, it's just how they feel about Black Americans, period. And I never see any of you all in those rooms saying, hey, you can't put us all in a box. We're all not the same. We got good people over here, A, B, and C. You're never there to do that. but you literally hang out from space to space in Black American spaces to try to wag your finger and check us when we turn around and say some of those same things. And again, nobody can be put into a box where it's never an all people type of thing. It's certain types of people that you're speaking of when we're speaking. I know that all of Africa isn't screwed up. I know that all Africans aren't messed up. I've had some African allies when I lived up north, some people that I really did like and appreciate. And I've met a few thorough ones here that came through in the South. So I know that it's not an everybody thing, but when you're talking about specific region and specific things that's going on, again, add some truth to the mix and stop trying to make it seem like, oh, you're just putting the people in Africa down and A, B, and C. That's not the case. And again, y'all lie so bad to you tell a lie just to hear yourself tell it.
Real talk. Thank you. Let me give a shout out to my girl Shannon too. Shannon, thank you for your contribution on Cash App. So we got a new speaker came up here. Cor Wayne, did you want to say something? We're not gonna go too much longer. I think.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. So, very blessed evening to you guys. I take it by the accent. I think you're there somewhere in the USA. I'm originally from Guyana, South America, but I reside in the UK. I've been here for about 20 odd years now. And very, very interesting discussion you're having here tonight. It's about 3:30 here in the morning here in the UK, but it just goes to show how much I'm enjoying the conversation. I would just like to quickly, just to pick up where the sister had just made mention there about people talking down about Africa. I mean, I've got so much to say about, the topics that's being discussed, but I'll try to make it as brief as possible and as concise. I think one of the reasons why some people have been defending the motherland, and I've only started going there since June last year, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place. I've only been to 3 countries so far, but what I've seen so far has been remarkable. That's where life started. That's where creation actually started. So it is a very special place to me, and perhaps for you as well. If you do look at it in that perspective. But I think the reason why some people were defending the quote-unquote people talking down about Africa is because there is a general perspective and a very derogatory one as well about Africa. When I just arrived there back in June last year, I've sent some friends and some family some photos and some videos, and one of my friends she responded by saying, "Wow, they have nice roads and beautiful buildings," and just the fact that she responded in that manner. It's indicative of the fact that even though we as a people and as a nation, we like to think certain good things about the motherland, there is an image that is in our minds that is very hard to remove because of that that has been implanted at a very, very young age. I grew up in the 1980s and 90s, and I've seen, the crisis on television there in Ethiopia and other parts of Eastern Africa, during the 1984 crisis, the drought that they've had there. And that has had a huge impact on me. So going there to Africa has changed a lot of my thinking about the motherland. I mean, even before going there, I've done a lot of research, and I believe that we as a people really need to do some more research, whether or not you're going there to visit, whether or not you're going there to settle, whatever. I don't think it's going to change anything, because wherever you go, oppression will still follow you. That's something that, that's more of a biblical talk. So I wouldn't really venture into that. But oppression will still follow us wherever we go. We can't escape that. But we need to change that mindset about what Africa is, especially if you've never been there before, if you've never done in-depth research about it. What the media has been placing in our minds for the past 50, 60 years. It has done a terrible job, and we have to undo all of those dirty things that we know. I'm not saying that Africa, is perfect. I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not saying that, it's all kumbaya over there. But what I'm saying is, we all got issues. America, is projected as one of, the world leaders of whatever they like to project themselves as. And I've been to America before numerous times, and it's not really what it is, especially for our Black brothers and sisters in the communities there. So everywhere has got their own issues, and but we don't see people on the television really talking down much about what's happening there in America. So awareness is very, very important, and we need to give credit wherever it's due for our brothers and sisters there in the motherland. For staying there, for continuing the fight, and still welcoming, many brothers and sisters who want to return there, whether it is for a visit or whether it is for settlement or whatever. But yeah, let's remember our brothers and sisters. We're all one. We're different continents. We're separated for a reason, but we're all one people, and let's keep that in the forefront of our minds. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Real quick, Corwin. Like I get what you're saying, but I mean, I think that we can't really deny the fact that Africa, in terms of some of the actual development, that it is still a ways to go in terms of being considered, I guess, a first-rate type continent as well too. Like when we look at the actual sewage systems and the electricity grids, and a lot of the things that's over there, that they have a lot of work still that needs to be done. So, I mean, I'm definitely not going to run down the continent, because I'm sure you have some developed areas as well, but it's still in terms of where it needs to be at, in terms of, with the amount of resources it has and the amount of people it has, it's not, it's not taking a shot at it to say, we there's a lot of things that need the infrastructure, for one, in Africa needs to improve greatly for it to be considered like a top flight type continent. I mean, I think we could agree on that much, can't we?
Thank you so much for bringing that up, my brother, because it is something that we need to understand. We need to look below the surface when we see these issues, right? Now, again, I'm not saying that it's not that it's perfect, but many of the issues that should have been fixed by now in Africa, a lot of it is down to the underdevelopment of the continent. What do I mean by that? I mean that systematically, the continent has been underdeveloped for centuries. Okay, since we had the colonialists going there and imposing their quote unquote civilization on there, and they have changed the way in which we the way in which we operate. I'm in the military over here. And I received a brief once about certain images that we see when we go to Africa. You might see a herdsman with no top on. Don't have any shoes on his feet, but he's got about 50 cows, that he's herding. And you might think to yourself, wow, this person is so uncivilized because you came from a concrete jungle and you don't even understand why is it that this person is dressed like this, or why is it that this person, is doing what he's doing, not realizing that that person is probably more wealthier than you are. It's just that he's in a different environment, because each head of a cow costs much, much more money, as compared to, maybe the car that you were driving. But just because you have this image, and again, I'm not saying this is what we all think, but I'm saying that, sometimes we tend to.
But I'm talking about just in terms of in terms of the modernization of things, in terms of the vast majority of people having electricity, running water, sewage, roads and stuff being paved, a way of actually taking the trash and recycling it, and I mean, the actual medicine, the treatments and everything, health care and all of this other stuff like that. I don't think it's far-fetched to say that Africa has a ways to go in terms of that development. Now, that's not to say that it can't be reached or it's 100 years off, but just in terms of that, I get what you're saying about the farmer who may, the cattle person who may have money and this and that and whatever. But I'm saying just in terms of the actual quality of life that when we think about it here in the Western world, and we think about it even and we see a place like China and certain places in Asia and stuff like that, that it has a ways to go in terms of the actual development, in terms of being considered a first-rate type continent. But I mean, that's not taking any shots at it, and that's not saying that we want to see it get to that point. That's the thing. That I mean, I think everybody in this space, whether they consider themselves to be just Black Americans and focus on Black American issues, still hold no ill will towards Africa and would like to see Africa progress. And I'm saying, in terms of where it needs to get at, in terms of its development, it is still a ways away. And in some of these places, when you have people, making $500-600 a year, that's just not going to cut it in the way the world is and stuff like that as well. You got people making $2 a day and stuff like that in some of these nations. When you look at the currency, and you're right, the Western world, we know that they destabilize it, and we know that they've kept it underdeveloped. But here's the thing: you have a number of people for the past 50 some odd years, maybe close to even 60 years, have gone. Some of Africa's brightest people have gone to the Americas, Europe, Asia, got educated, got trained, got skilled, and everything else. A lot of them could have came back, and some of the stuff simply like putting in sewage plants and stuff like that, and getting the grounds paved and electricity. A lot of these people that left and went on to do things, they could have went back and done some of this stuff. Now, I know you need on a larger scale, you need the actual governments to get themselves together. And unfortunately, the governments are still, pretty much in the hip pockets of Europeans. But in terms of the actual development to where it needs to get to, it still has quite a ways to go.
I agree. Yes, there is a lot of excuse me. There's a lot of room for development there, and growth in the economy, and the opportunity for the so-called working class, to start stepping up to the middle class and so on and so forth. There's a lot of room for development there, and yes, I think you hit it right on the nail there, because I was going to come in to say that the mismanagement and the corruption that is there within the continent, and again, corruption is everywhere, but the widespread corruption that is there does play a lot into what the current state is for many African countries, okay? And hence, you have a lot of brothers and sisters leaving the continent and going elsewhere because they can't, sustain themselves, with the current wages that they're being paid. And in addition to that, we see that many African countries, like for example Nigeria, which is the largest economy in Africa with over 200 million people, okay, would be easily one of the G8 countries, if they had even just minimized on the corruption, that they have. Very, very rich country, one of the largest oil reserves, but it's just because of the mismanagement, because of the corruption. And again, if we look at all of these things, we see that the countries that are benefiting from this, number one, the leaders are benefiting, and then the leaders who are then a part of a system which is exterior to Africa, okay, and in other parts of Europe and Asia and the USA and other parts of the Americas, they're the ones that's benefiting. The Chinese are there. The Chinese have been there for quite some time now, and they have taken over. They have completely taken over. So most of the wealth of Africa is not actually being distributed, or it's not even being concentrated within Africa. It's being taken out of Africa. The DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, one of the most single richest countries in the world when we look at resources, okay? But yet, you find that there is this huge separation within the country. I think it's every 100 miles,
Corwayne, not to cut you off, brother, but I got to go ahead because we're going to be closing this out in a second. So I appreciate you. I'm going to go. I got to go. I'm going to get to a speaker or two, and then we're going to be closing this thing out for the night. But I appreciate you coming up here. If we had a little bit more time, I would let you go ahead and kick it, but we're going to be closing it out here in a second. So I appreciate you coming up tonight.
When are you on again?
I should be on tomorrow. If not tomorrow, Wednesday, we're gonna probably have Judge Joe Brown on here. So if we're not on tomorrow, then Wednesday night we'll be back. We'll be back at 8.
Roger. At 8. Yeah, is that Eastern Standard or?
Yeah, Eastern Standard Time.
8. All right.
Go ahead and you can go ahead and follow me on Twitter here, and you may want to click the notification bell on my actual page, so that means you'll stay up to date on whenever I post something or whatever. It'll probably more than likely, if it's not a space tomorrow, which I'm thinking we probably will, but if not, then Wednesday we'll have Judge Joe Brown. He should be in the house that night. So again, thank you for coming out. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much. I just followed you.
Okay.
I'll stay in touch.
No problem.
All the best, man. Shalom to you guys.
Same to you. Stephanie was up here, but I see she's disconnecting. So, DJ, go ahead because we're going to get ready to wrap this.
Get it in real quick. Yeah. So I'm going to just try to tell the story as quick as possible. I didn't think old boy was going to be wrapping up the Babylon verses. So just real quick, we ain't got a problem against nobody, but we are definitely sick of everyone else having a conversation about us in the third person, and that's the problem. And you notice PA ain't in this space, Fahima ain't in this space no more. I don't even see them. They've been flagged because they know what it is they saying is a bunch of crap. So at the end of the day, we know daggone well what's going over there. We're not privileged or stupid. We have Africans within our own American communities that tell us the exact same thing that we are saying right here in this space. So I'm going to tell this story real quick, and I'm going to try to be quick because I know you got to go. But it's space being recorded, and this is just for context purposes. So I'm here in Jersey, born and raised, lived here my whole life. I got a neighbor, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even going to say where he's from because I don't want to give all the things up. But he wound up coming over here, you know what I'm saying, through a program, you know what I'm saying? We'll say that. And he was only supposed to have been here for like a weekend, a week or something like that, a couple of days. Then had to jump back on his place to get back to wherever he was going across seas. Wound up linking with a family member over here. He's been here for about 5-6 years now. So that same family member never told him, hey, look, we understand that you didn't come here by way of legal means all the way through and through, but try to get a job, try to pay taxes or something, try to become a naturalized citizen. Never told him none of this stuff, you know what I'm saying? So even though he's been here working and all this other stuff, he ain't paid no taxes, he ain't did none of this stuff. So now he was looking to go back home. But I said, hey, bro, yeah, that sounds good and all because, his kids are, they entering high school. So you want to see him through the years. He's been over here for a while now without seeing them grow up. So That's understandable. You want to be around your children. You know what I mean? That's good. You know what I mean? But if you leave now, two things might happen. One, you might not make it back home. Let's keep it logical because of the way you got here. So even if you want to go turn yourself into your embassy, God only knows what they'll do to you, bro. You see, a lot of these folks are actually privileged and not understanding what governments do to them. A lot of them don't really understand. You know what I mean? So the other to them, if at least stack your bank account, you feel what I'm saying? And once he thought about it like that, he wound up seeking immigration asylum. So it ain't even so much, being a Pan-Africanist and helping another black person out, you know what I'm saying? Or another African or whatever, how you want to look at this. It's the fact that the matter is there's, again, coons and, what was dude named Jamie Foxx character, you know what I mean? Steven or whatever, you know what I mean? Samuel character in the Django, Steve, you know what I mean? There's a bunch of Stevens around here. So it's like, why his own cousin ain't telling him what the situation was? Now, keep in mind, his cousin that never told him any of this information. He's very well off. I mean, very, 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 very well off here in America, right here in Jersey. Yep. You know what I'm saying? He living it up. I ain't saying he rich, screws me up, but he got some paper, and he don't even be paying his cousin properly. So, what that tell you right there, they doing the same tactics they were doing home, and they bringing the BS over here. And by the time we really find out about it, it's just way too late, man. So again, all night long space coming up. 11 o'clock, I'll see you out there then. Go ahead, good night.
All right. Stephanie, go ahead. I'm going to let you be the last speaker for the night. Then we're going to go ahead and close this out.
Thank you. I just want to say to the racist piece of crap that was up here, freely using the N-word. If I pick a location of my choice, will you be willing to go there and use that N-word? I just want to see something. Okay.
Rondo not even in the space.
Yeah, I blocked them. I just went ahead and blocked them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm blocked too. Then he's coming in for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, he's a piece of crap. And see, this is what we have to deal with, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. For people to come here and make insults towards Black Americans, okay? And like I've always said in numerous occasions, okay, no one is taking a stab or hating on anybody from the diaspora. It's only when people make disparaging comments and insults towards the Black American community. And what you're noticing from Trouble and other people is actually people that are actually fed up. We're getting tired of this disrespect, the veiled insults, okay, minor threats, and whatever else that we have to put up with. We shouldn't have to put up with this from anybody. Whether you call yourself looking like us or not, we shouldn't have to put up with this, okay? And y'all know for a fact that we're right. But y'all keep doing the same nonsense, and this is why people show you the same response that you give them. If you don't like it, don't dish it out. Okay, I don't hear nobody from anybody, whether you support Pan-Africanism or not. I never heard them say anything towards these people like, listen, it's a cultural thing. If you don't understand, don't say anything about it. I don't hear nobody saying anything to them like that. But yet, as soon as we say something, oh, we're ignorant, we're uneducated, we don't know who our fathers are. We know who our fathers are, okay? Just like a lot of people over there don't even have parents. They were orphaned. Nobody makes light of that situation. But yet, y'all come here, y'all use the same nonsense, and it gets frustrating. Everybody gets frustrated. It's like a pressure cooker, and I support Pan-Africanism. I'll always support it, but I support my people first, okay? We have issues here that we have to deal with. It's not an insult. When people say, well, why Black America? Y'all label all Black Americans, okay? But if we say the same thing back, well, it's not all Africans, well, it's not all Caribbeans. Why are you guys doing this? We're not a monolith. It's the same thing. It goes all ways. And that's the part that I don't understand. How come nobody's correcting them, but everybody is quick to jump in and want to try to correct us on something that we already know? You get involved in our politics, nobody says nothing. You pass policies for your people, fine. But yet we get blocked out of policies for some strange reason. We get blocked out of high-level positions for some strange reason. We get blocked out of a lot of things. Black Americans can't go to nobody else's country and run for politics and get accepted in. You know, but y'all can come here. We vote for you too. We support you. That means that if we didn't support you, you wouldn't be in office right now, especially if you're running in certain locations with a majority of Black Americans. So I just wish that people would just stop this nonsense and just take a step back and look in the mirror before you sit up here and you cast judgment on somebody else. And that's it. I'm just landing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. We're going to get ready. We're going to close this one out tonight, guys. We're going to have Judge Joe Brown supposed to be in the space on Wednesday. I believe it's going to be Wednesday. If not, we'll see exactly what, but he's supposed to be up in one of the spaces this week, guys. So everybody be safe. DJ's got a space coming up. You said you got a space coming up?
Yes, sir.
All right. So DJ's got the 11 o'clock space coming up, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end this one for the night. So make sure you join him. Peace to everybody who came out tonight. Let me give a shout out real quick to, I believe it's DeRice. DeRice, thank you for your contribution on Cash App. We're going to go ahead and close it out. We'll see you guys either tomorrow or Wednesday. Peace, be safe, and we'll see you then.